We on. Oh,
All
that's what it
right. Welcome back, everybody, to the arguably still called Phoenix Crusade. And of course, with us, we have people whose names you can clearly see. But hey, guys, how's it going?
Hi, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
Cool. We're going to start this off with first addressing some points we talked about during downtimes. It was here and there as we came up with topics. But number one, why we're still called Phoenix Crusade? Still Sabat-oriented game. What I mean by that is just because you're not Sabat now doesn't mean suddenly the world forgot you were. Right? So this is dealing with the consequences of choices made. I want to make it clear to everybody who watches this later or whatever, for immortal reasons, I think any storyteller honors their players by owing to what a player does, meaning you don't let it go. What you do affects the world. You play in the world. Even if you hate your character, you built that character, and I approve that story to make that a focal point for something, no matter what it is. And it may not be at front and center, but it should have a legacy. It should live somewhere in that world we're collectively telling. To that end, some of you are still very much part of that old school pack. So it'd be rude to just boot that out completely. Also, that's no doubt not even been hidden. That's part of the story, right? Ramsey's still kicking, so is Warren. Why is that mystically going to disappear because you're now working for the camera? Well, actually, you're part of it. So that's what I want to make clear. The other thing is, it's no big deal that your title of the game is still Phoenix Crusade, except for the fact of how laughable it is. I like that irony a lot better. Besides, it's not like you guys are forming a new football team.
All right. So I will throw away the Chicago Winter Blues logo I made, and I'll just
You
print it off and hang it in my room.
I knew that you put your heart and soul in that, and there's nothing wrong with it. And you can bring it up, but this is what I wanted to see with it.
Uh-huh.
It would be something that would make fundamental sense for Ramsey to bring up. This is what I want to say. You come from a culture as Sabat where you have a pack that you have to have.
Mm-hmm.
The difference between a coterie and a pack and a gang. Ready? You're in a cult when you're in the Sabat. You're in a cult. They press ganged you together and devoured your humanity to force you to a path that made it digestible to kill at will the enemies of the sect and to devour people's soul depending on who you are and where you fall on that. And you guys aren't part of that psycho machine now because you survived long enough and basically the hold was loosened enough that when an opportunity came, the priest couldn't hold you there because the priest himself was conflicted.
Mm-hmm.
And where it stuck better to other pack members, you saw your opportunity, broke away when you're with the enemy, and that's how it went. But it makes sense that Ramsey cannot operate without having some sort of familiarity, i.e., you won't hold oil until there are little rituals done that kind of are shared amongst everybody. So it might be weird to Brennan's new, you're Brennan, to Bernardo's new character and to DJ's new character that all of a sudden you have to have a title. Right, we're in a coterie together, and you're like, "Oh, we're the Chicago. What is it again? Chicago Winter Blues or whatever it is."
Mm-hmm.
Right, and you have that logo, and you're like going, "Oh, do we get T-shirts now?" And you're like, "It's a good idea."
Yeah, I was like, oh shit, I didn't think about that. Can we do that?
I know you can bring that in, and it makes a lot of sense that you would do that. There's things like that that should be followed through on, of course, the path and whatnot. All that said, what we're looking at here right now is we're down 2 people. Hopefully, Mike's midterm, very important one in law school. Can't miss those. And let's wish him all the luck that he can. Mr. Michelli's working hard. Get that promotion means you got to do that training, and so he's cranking that out. Both will be missed until they're back, and that's how it is. For the moment, I understand some of you did stuff that you're relying on Warren on. The update to that is real simple. Warren's still doing it. He was trying to beat the streets and get back those connections he had lost because he technically had to figure out a way to kill his identity. Hopefully, we can understand that when you're an internet influencer and everybody knows your name in an area, like he went, you can't exactly alter his face, so he has to figure out a way to pull out of the media and cause it to disappear. So it makes sense that he's not around. He has to fade from the limelight a bit. And that's that. As far as for Rip, maybe it is, or Rot, excuse me, I keep doing that. Like rest in peace, sorry. Rot, as an Nosferatu hidden and looking and finding where the rest of his clan is, he too has the perfect segue to be out. But I know he sent messages out, treated accordingly. He hasn't responded. I'd feel creeped out if that were the case, so it makes sense that you do too.
Mm-hmm.
Also, there are reasons. It's up to you. You can metagame and go, they'll be back. But let's just say I already have out to them while they're gone. and what's happening there, and they might have reasons to be a little iffy. So, quick reminder: if you have your phone on, please put it on mute so you don't do what I just did.
Don't worry, you're not alone. Oh shit! Actually, that's a good idea. I forgot to do that. I mean, I'm on the ball. You're not on the ball. What is happening?
It's natural to have happen, right?
Yes.
Anyway, having fun. Second thing, really third thing to bring up. Someone had actually said in conversation that it's like we're scripted. If you've been listening to the opening of this, I hope you realize this is not scripted.
Yeah, I was flabbergasted. I was in that conversation. I was flabbergasted. It was like, I will take that as a we are great at what we do. But
right.
yeah.
There's a lot you guys get to see. I know we take painstaking efforts so you can see die rolls in chat and things of that nature. We do cut out some of it that's boring. And I want people to use this as a tip. If you're currently recording games and doing all that, nobody's mad when you take away the dead silence. This player should have think of an idea, or the storyteller forgot a rule, or the phone rings, or whatever happens during the course of editing. The privilege of editing is to make it seem seamless, and that's the point of a good editor.
Mm-hmm.
And you got one, that's what you do. If you're doing it as is and want to leave in all the minutia because that's what an actual game looks like, I applaud you, and you should. And we do that for the most part. But we beyond that, trust me, other than me being a storyteller and coming up with plot and players focused on what they're doing and having goals, that's it. So if that counts as scripted, then we are. Otherwise, no one gets lines. No one even knows what's about to happen until I launch it to them. And you can tell because DJ becomes a salesman whenever anything is thrown his way and he's just going to play it. Right? It's always the tell. If DJ looks calm, we scripted it. Just know that. It's
yeah. I also will typically get the deer in the headlights look, like where my eyes will bulge and I'm like, what is happening?
It's pretty cool. All right, so without further ado, where we last left off, we met we had an encounter. I want to clean this up a bit. At the end, it was a little truncated, and we rolled on because people were shocked. And what it was, guys went to go help out an old friend of Warren's, and some woman named Cecilia, and she was stuck in I don't know if you want to call it a position accurately, but let's say she's in a bind. One where it seemed the very shadows or something in there that relied on shadow to ambush was hunting her and trying to cause her harm. With former Sabat members, apparently the assumption was that you guys would be able to handle it, and maybe that's why she called Warren, maybe not. But we know what the outcome is, and it's real simple. Celia, not Cecilia, apparently died because Warren threw her at what was chasing her. I want to hammer this home. If you missed that, please check it out. But if you're confused, remember, you guys were bailing. You had your good buddy and DJ turn around and bring the car back, and everyone piled in. As they were doing it, Warren thought that his good buddy Ramsey wasn't going to make it. So he turned and shot-putted Celia, who he had in his arms, terrified and coming out of frenzy, right at whatever it was that was pursuing it, and it seemed to undo her, like she ceased to be. And that's what occurred, and everybody made it out safely. In the aftermath, we know, as a reminder, actually, I'll ask you, DJ, do you need a prompt at all to remember the info you got back from Santos and or Damien?
Oh, no, definitely not. In fact, where we last left off as well was Sullivan had reached out to Damien, letting him know that he came across that particular situation. He was panicked, at which point he received a call from Santos letting him know that she might be able to take care of the situation, but he's going to have to invest in some real estate for a buddy of hers, of which he definitely did. Being already hurting with it, he had reached back out over to Ramsey and been like, hey, by the way, could you tell me about what happened regarding a head inside of an industrial laundromat? To which he hasn't replied completely back yet, and Sullivan is waiting eagerly by his phone to find out. He also does have a number that he will call once his coterie is put together for a particular gentleman who might be able to assist with the situation.
Now, for interest purposes, there is a letter that you received from a guy by the name of Reverend Sweetwater, is where it came from, is what he's referred to as, and this went to Sullivan. It's a very stylized, hand-delivered letter that came from what I would like to call a true believer, if you know the type. It looked like some cult made his cotton shirt, like he came from a run fair maybe. but it's in the modern. Guy had bright yellow hair. It's what it looked like, and very much a 1,000-yard stare, kind of glassy eyed, but knew who you were, Sullivan. And right when you walked out of your haven, didn't make you feel comfortable that he was there, but he hand delivered you the letter and left. Didn't say much to it, just he did his part and left. Now, it's also something you noted. He had no shoes on, pretty cold around these parts this time of year, and because it's fall and he's kind of going his own way. I said this before, I'm sorry, it would be fall transition to winter. So there's no reason you shouldn't have a jacket in the whole nine. But that's what it is. And the letter, when you open it up and look at it, it cordially invites you to the Church of Cain. Literally says they have a meeting as they do once a month, and it's inviting you and your coterie out to, to share in the gospel as they have it. And it's interesting. Without rolling, you know that there is talk that there is a Church of Cain around every bit that there is these ministry and their good word of acceptance of people, and you can go see them whenever. You haven't really dealt with anything, but you know this much: Red number 5 has some sort of your problems have picked up just by going to that place.
Oh no!
Right? Because how do they know where you live? That you were safe before this. Now you get a letter, and that invitation's there. Do you remember the ministry has some sort of presentation as well? I.e., it's always an open door for the ministry. That's no one's shocked at that. And typically you can run into them in any club. You might see some of the well-known members there. But typically you avoid that if you can. Not hard to get a hold of. This handwritten letter given to you by a Reverend Sweetwater is a bit odd.
Does it have a phone number attached to it as well?
Not at all.
Huh. All right, that's odd.
Before, because I know I didn't say it, there is an address. There's inviting you out there. It appears the address, just because it's you. Looking up on your smartphone, you can easily see the address goes to a Baptist church, and I did swear to you that I muted this. I promise you. This new fundangled phone of epic proportions, but pardon me. The address on there is to a well-known Baptist church in the city, and let me take it back. You would probably think it's a Baptist church, but it's called Crossroads Ministry. It's there in the city, and that's really it. The church is huge. Apparently has multiple sites, but there is an easy to get to one in the city where the address goes to, that billed as its main hub.
He'll take a look at the address and punch it into his phone, as mentioned before, and then he will reach out to Slappy first, and he'll give him a phone call.
Yeah, Slappy will pick up. Sully, what's up, man?
Hey, how are you, Slappy? Hey, question. You wouldn't happen to know anything about the Church of Cain, would you?
Nah, man, that ain't my scene.
Do you know whose scene it would be?
Nah, I ain't got a clue. I don't hang around the preachy types, you know. That ain't my thing.
I thought you had your ear to the ground, man. Well, shit. You think Ramsey might know? I don't want to have to call him. I don't even know if he has a phone, to be honest.
Man, I don't think that guy knows shit from Shiola, right? But whatever. It's better than nothing, right? But you're probably right. He don't got a phone. You might need to send smoke signals up or some shit, and then he'll come to you.
All right, I have a plan. Listen, how about this? I'm going to go ahead and try getting in contact with Ramsey. He might know something about this. It's just odd. You'd be amazed. There was a guy that just showed up at my haven barefoot, and the weather's not exactly known for it. It kind of throws me off a little bit. I don't know whether or not this is something related to me going to Red number 5, or it's because they saw me hanging around with Ramsey and Warren. So you available this evening or what?
Yeah, I'm available, man. Barefoot
right.
Messenger. It's a good name for a song.
Jesus. All right. Listen, I'll be ready in about half an hour. I'm going to go ahead and call Ramsey and pick him up. All right.
You going to pick me up, or you want me to meet you?
I'll pick you up. I think it's safe for numbers. After that last incident, I'd rather be together than not.
And to that end, just to interject as a reminder, there was an open door policy that Sully kind of had, right? You remember telling Ramsey and even Warren that if they ever needed help or whatever to be, they could do that. And to remind you, Ramsey had issue with being on his own. And he didn't even want to mention it, but it was an odd effect. When Warren mentioned he had to kind of go to ground, he let Ramsey know that, and they're going to be in touch. And it bothered Warren, like gave him it was weird for you to see this. He actually gave Warren Warren gave Ramsey a beeper, if I remember. Yes, it was a beeper that they handed to him. You haven't seen that, and like that's
Right.
ancient. That even works at some places. Apparently, it does. And more or less, you assume so when Warren wants to get in touch with him, whatever, he can have it. But pretty much, you saw that as him kind of distancing himself for the moment, and you knew why. And let's just say that's something that maybe the Sabat would never have to say, but it's kind of weird in a Camarilla. You might politely tell a friend, hey, man, if you ever come in hard times, you need a place to stay, right here, no big deal. I'm just being a friend. I'm really open. But what happens when that friend goes, yeah, I'm on hard times. You mind if I'm on the couch? We can't tell no, right? Now you're like, I open that door, and you're looking at him, and Ramsey sort of like shows up. That's what he was doing. And at the time, I know it was quick when we were talking about it. More or less, you remember you do have him, and you showed him the basement. Rather, he's hung out in the basement for whatever is where he's taken it over. And that's that. Anything weird, Ramsey, you want to let Sullivan know that you've been doing while you've been occupying his basement? And to let you know, Sully's a modern guy. The basement's furnished. It has carpeting. It's a nice big TV down there. You have a small weight room that he keeps up for pretenses, right? Because people will assume, how do you stay fit, Sully? Oh, I'm on that treadmill every day. No, it's probably a Chuck Norris total gym is in there alongside his treadmill, and both get dusted to let you know how much activity is ever seen on it.
Yeah, so Ramsey would be using your generously furnished TV. Local news is pretty much played on it constantly. You'll watch. He doesn't work out so much as like turn on your treadmill and like kind of move your weights, but it's like for Bob to know, it's getting the dust out of it, right? If he has this up for pretenses, I'm making sure it looks like it's a pretense, not a actual tell that something might be amiss here.
Understood.
That being the case, Sully will take the opportunity to walk back into his haven, and he'll cautiously walk downstairs to the basement itself and kind of put his ear to the door just to see whether or not either Ramsey's awake and or the TV's on. Ramsey, would that be the case?
Yes, you would at least hear the TV.
Good. He'll gently knock on a door.
He'll go open it.
He'll take a look at you and he'll be like, hey, mind if I come in? I mean, never mind. I live here.
You do.
Right. Give me a moment. And he'll step in and he'll close the door behind him. Actually, he'll leave the door open.
We're at a great moment of truth here to talk to Ramsey a minute here. We did a lot on talking on Path of Harmony, especially lately, and understanding how that is and the history and its development. At this point, you remember the rift and what happened in the Sabbat. Have you decided which side of the philosophy Ramsey's ended up on now? Is it on that humanity's not so bad, or is it their food?
No, it is like more on the humanity's not so bad side. Like there might be like some bad eggs. I'm not going to even say that. It's that humanity doesn't like warrant like a huge culling or like a destruction. Right there.
To tell you how different this is, then, and I'm not cutting you off to do anything other than I want you to keep some of that because we'll see that in the development of the RP.
Word.
But the other thing is to let you know, Sullivan, the difference that it is in him is how he carries himself. You can smell aftershave. He shaved. There's a scent of a personal care that maybe would have been habit that he did in the past. His hair looks a little cleaner. It is definitely combed and brushed at least. You can smell conditioner. That's over there. His clothes are clean. This is demonic. I promise you I powered this off. This is haunted. Like, what is going on? I'm going to pull the battery out. Like, let's knock that off. Sorry about that, folks. I really am. That's rude. Tap again. Okay, I had to tap it 5 times, not 20. All right. So anyway, all these things he's done to be here. He's not like ready for school, but it's like going to a buddy's house and you two are going to go out. he's ready. Oh, the touch that I like personally is the fact that he does have a rather interesting selection in clothes. Like he's gone out of his way to not match the neighborhood and blend in like that, but to have his own sense of identity. And if you mind, Ramsey, what sort of clothing is Ramsey being himself?
So Ramsey, like previously, especially when you first met him, he was sporting like tank tops and like this weird leather duster, right? Some leather jacket. He's gone away from that. He still likes has a penchant for his sunglasses. Actually, no, he doesn't, right? Because who wears sunglasses at night? It's just weird. Worst case scenario, you're like, man, this guy's gonna seem like a tryhard, or someone's gonna realize, hey, this guy's wearing sunglasses at night and he's not having trouble seeing. What is he blind? Uh, but anyway, he's not sporting that anymore. He's trying to look. It might be laughable to Sully. Do you have a computer down here at all?
Chances are he probably has a small laptop.
Your small
I tell you
laptop.
what,
Sorry.
sorry, stuff like that, guys, have liberty.
Okay.
Mhm.
There's a small laptop that's open, and you'll see it's like there are several tabs open, and I guess they're fashion tabs, or more like where someone could buy like cheap but like somewhat trendy clothes. So he's wearing like some like multi like Converse like all-star chucks, right? Just a basic but looks somewhat new. Wearing jeans that have like, like dark wash jeans and a black long sleeve shirt with a hoodie under it, and then like a black kind of leather jacket over it. Like he's dressing for the Chicago winter.
He kind of smirks a bit and he's like, "Look at you," and that definitely is my cologne, but don't worry about it. Yeah, at least you're looking presentable. I could do things with this. So you'll pat him on the shoulders, and he's like, "Well, that's a step up. I actually anticipated worse." That's Yeah, we'll talk about that other thing later. Anyways, point being is, out of curiosity, are you familiar with the Church of Cain?
The Church of Cain.
Yeah.
Is there any role I should know other than like Church of Cain, sort of Cain, Bob?
It's treat it like I just asked you about your sister. Do you know about your sister, Brad?
Okay. Yeah, the Church of Cain. You know what Warren and I came from. That is, that's what they call themselves. What we called ourselves.
I gotta make a phone call. We're fucking goosed. Someone literally showed up barefoot presenting this, and he'll show him the letter. And it's by a Reverend Sweetwater, and they're inviting me to the Church of Cain. You know
A
that shit can't
reverend?
fly, right? I mean, this is brazen. This is not a good idea. Does this mean
It's,
there's a bot around?
This is
It's,
not
uh,
the. Sorry, go ahead.
And so, what I got to ask you, Brennan, would Ramsey try to stifle laughter at this point?
No, he wouldn't stifle it.
When you get this pamphlet, he's laughing much like Brennan is right now. It's very human, right? It's very natural. It's a good belly laugh as he's staring at this. They got a weird symbol. It's like a scythe, a farmer's scythe from like when people thought maybe they used to use in a wheat field back in the day, the full-on scythe process, and they have like a half moon that sticks in the background. It's Church of Cain in gold letters and a Reverend Sweetwater. Like what? Because of Ramsey's background, yeah, you do know this. They're called these televangelists are all over down south. You almost want to go to the TV and show him who you're. Yeah, you're going to see this guy who's going to tell you why you're going to hell. Like that's going to happen next. But nowhere on here can you take this serious except they actually have a black hand symbol there. Where they have the moon and a quarter up there, you know what the moon symbol looks like. And it's not emblazoned. It's a hard. I think the term is emblazoned. I'm wrong. It's an imprint, right? Where the moon's there. When you go to look at it and you run your finger over it, you see the lettering where it's indented is another symbol, and you know your set was big on Secrets Within Secrets, but the rest of this seems false. Like whoever did this had an idea what that might have been, or is it? It wasn't that much of a hidden symbol. like you are aware enough as the scout you are, at least old habits, to understand the trends in areas you go to. Made it easier for hunting.
Mhm.
One of the trends is the prevalence of occult materials making it back to the mainstream. Like people are interested again and they're all over the place. Right, esoterica is big, and the moon and all its phases and symbology is used in jewelry. It's used on writing. It's not that hidden.
Right.
Black King Union need to update its symbol a bit. And maybe it's that. You hope it's that, but you feel it's also right that maybe Sullivan's a little shooken by it.
Um, I'm sorry, Sully. I'm not laughing at you. No, I can see why this is not Sabat. This is he's like rubbing the emblem with his thumb like kind of idly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what this is other than I think someone found a book and kind of went crazy. But
Right. All right. So pause there for a second because I want you to put this in scope. Let's assume that they're crazy, right? Don't get it wrong. I'm always a person who's looking for opportunity. But why the fuck would you show up at my doorstep barefoot and hand me this? Who does
these
that?
I didn't know Chicago had those oh hell, what did they call them? Those tent revivals? That's what this reads like to me. I don't know if you watched anyway, Sully. If this was who you were afraid it was going to be, the person who met you at the door would just have asked you there. Not asked. I meant like and he'll make like a fake stabbing motion.
All right. Well, let's do this. If they were willing to go ahead and send me something, means I must be doing something good. So thumbs up to me, thumbs up to us. We're gonna go pick up Slappy. I told him I'd pick him up in about 20 minutes. So you ready to roll?
Yep. I'm ready.
All right, let's go. And he'll head out with Warren. I'm sorry, with Ramsey heading out to Slappy.
I'll head out with what? I mean, Ramsey, all right. I see who you actually want to be hanging out with.
So, Slappy, where are they meeting you at?
I would just have given Sully like an address for a 7-Eleven that's down the block from my old home.
Well, it certainly is a 7-Eleven that you pull up to. I'll leave it to the imagination of everybody to know what a 7-Eleven is. It is rather a household name in pretty much all over the world, really.
Right.
And it's busy, as it always is, right? There are people going in and out as a convenience store goes, and you guys are just parked. I'm wondering if he lives upstairs, maybe. Maybe he owns the place. You're not really certain. Slappy, for your part, you don't know how long they've been sitting there, but when you come walking up to the lot, you most assuredly see them there.
Yeah, Sloppy would just walk up wearing it's like just like a nice black coat, blend in with the Chicago winters, smoking a Marlboro 27. As he walks up to the car, he just flick it out and then get in and be like, "Hey, thanks for meeting me, boys." And getting
a 7-Eleven, really? I mean, all right. Hey, by any chance, you didn't happen to notice the dent on my hood, right?
Nah, man, I didn't notice the dent.
I paid a lot to have that popped out. Hopefully, well, I'll get a kickback out of it. I wonder if they do tax returns. Never mind. Anyways, good news is apparently that this situation with the Church of Cain isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It's not one of Ramsey's former crew members or anything like that. But I figured we'd check it out. I know that Warren's kind of gone to ground considering. And you still see, like, every time he says that, he just kind of stares ahead, like something's wrong with. Anyways, let's go. We might as well make some sort of business out of this because there's things to gain, and especially after we kind of screwed the pooch with the Red 5, we could at least do something here. Maybe they want something from us. Maybe they want Ramsey. When you take a look at Ramsey, he's like, he does look presentable, so that's a good sign.
Slappy just shrugs his shoulders and he's like, "Going to church? You gotta look presentable enough."
I gotta make him look presentable. He'll just point back there.
You know I'm right here, right?
Yeah, I know you're right there, Ramsey. Thanks for reminding me. Look, listen, I'm gonna keep it real with you. And he'll turn on the front seat and kind of take a look at both of you. He's like, I'm still trying to get used to the fact that something's not right with you. Let's call it a hunch, right? Most people kind of look human. There's that 1,000 yard stare in your eye that kind of just that and the industrial laundry machine. Do you remember that incident?
Oh yeah. Is that what you wanted to talk to me about?
Not right now. I'd rather not get into it, but I am saying you definitely look like you improved over the last couple of nights, but I still don't know what you're about. So I used to know what Slappy's about. Listen, we'll take this on the road, and he'll turn back and he'll rev up and he'll start heading over to this address.
Is there anything anybody wants to do prior to getting there? Or are we just going to it?
I don't need to. When we do get there, I'll Ramsey will tap Sully. Drive around the block one more time. I don't think this is who you're afraid it was, but I just want an idea of the place.
He'll drive slowly, and he's like, I didn't sign up for stuff like this. Like, how'd I? All right, sure. And he'll drive around the block.
Well, what I will tell you, it's a Chicago neighborhood, and you guys are familiar with the area by reputation, except maybe not what's happened to it since. And without delving into, because you guys aren't exactly experts even now that you're here, this is somewhere you've probably been through, Sullivan, like ripped through here, and wish you were at the ground level when it changed it. Cabrini Green really was kind of shut down, right? When they moved everybody out, they just kind of put the fresh paint over it, saw what it is, and it's still destined to be demolished to put other businesses in as it gets more populated. Some nice glass viewed condos in the heart of the city type feel is what they're building up of what it is. And this ministry is still around for Crossroads. And when you guys get to this building, you see the nice symbology, right? There's, of course, cross, except the cross is more or less like a road in the imagery, right? If you can imagine that, they show a crossroad in the top left, but it's done in the design just the way a cross would be built.
Oh, okay.
Immediately you're kind of clicked in your head, like, are they messing with you? Like, it's about Christ, but it's not. It's really about the crossroads. Could this mean anything else? And you want to play with the terminology. Like, if it's not really Christ related, is this like a place where you meet the devil at the crossroads and they're going to play some blues and maybe a ridiculous fiddle? Maybe that's going to happen. None of the above. In fact, what it is instead is the lobby of the place. As you get to the door, it reminds you of a business. One of the many industrial businesses that they have a front end. It's just all bricked on all sides except for the opaque window, meaning it's thick glass, right? It gets a little foggy to see through it on purpose, stacked up. There's a door that you open, and right there you see that there's who the hell has someone attending the front counter to a ministry, right? You would just go on in. Here they do. You'll see that the young man is maybe in his 30s at that. And why you say young man? Because he appears very youthful, very clean, clean shaven, in fact. And immediately up on his feet, and you guys walk in, has a lapel of a cross, but you notice it's a little too even, right? It's not a traditional cross like you would wear on the end of a chain symbolizing Christ. It's literally like the intersection of a road. And you're like, okay. All right, so there it is, right? But he's holding it like he's a class-carrying member, and he should have it. And when you guys walk in, he'll look, and you'll see him look up. As you walk in first, Sullivan, Ramsey, you're going to get this before stepping in. There's these two plastic stands like you would see walking into a Walmart or any other superstore, where if you stole anything, you probably expect it to ring or go off or whatever. Instead, this guy looks up, and when you look up, you'll see that it stays red. Sullivan goes through, Ramsey goes through, it's red. Slappy, assuming you go in, it goes red. It's interesting. And when he sees it, he's like, okay. He'll turn to you, welcome to the Church of Cain. He'll see him push a button underneath the counter. You'll hear a buzzing noise as the door he's in front of. He had you guys wait. It's just a wood door, rather thick, nice polish. Will pop open as he says, go on in. The Reverend Sweetwater's waiting for you.
It's good. That's good to know. It's a swanky area you got here. Listen, let's pull in some good dough. He'll like knock on the counter a bit, and he's like, thanks, we'll be right over. Gentlemen, if we would. And he'll start heading towards the door.
Walking inside, it's a hallway that goes for maybe about, I'd say, another 15 feet. And there's a few doors locked. One's marked supplies, another one you're going to see. kitchenette area, literally labeled kitchenette. And then you see it's just double doors. Open the double doors. Here's your classic pews. There's no windows for this area, rather the size of a small, I'd say, stage area, like you were looking at a play, except there's no stage. Instead, it's an elevated dais. You can see that there's the guy you were looking for, except wait a second. There's a, that's not a, again, it's not a cross. It's just this big caricature of a place. It's weird. You have somebody taking ceramics and making that even cross on either side, and it looks like they took painstaking effort to put like leafy mountainous terrain all on it, but kept it ceramic white. And they hold it in the back like you'd expect to see a cross that is there. All there is a single blood drop that all of you can see. That's dead center of that cross. And it's ruby red. Maybe it's a jewel. You're not certain. However, the priest that's there is supping from a bowl. And it's like you caught him in mid-act. He'll stand briefly, say a prayer as he pulls his rosary out from around his hands and goes to stuff it in his pocket. But the only holy thing you can mention is the fact that from the rosary to his the lapel he has, this guy seems, I won't say harmless, but definitely kindred.
Hey, good evening, Reverend Sweetwater.
He'll smirk and goes, "You must be Sullivan."
I am. My name's Sullivan. Obviously, I brought my cohorts with me. This gentleman, Slappy. If you haven't heard him play, he is a killer gentleman, always playing Red Velvet. And this over here is my newfound coterie mate, Ramsey. Ramsey, say hello.
Reverend.
From noticing off the bat, this guy does not stop breathing. His complexion is as it is. It's rather pale, even after having recently fed. He doesn't even make an attempt to do anything of the sort. Beautiful in a way that is otherworldly. It doesn't fit in that regard. If this guy went on the street, people would ask questions just because. He's so super attractive, but off. This is how that would be received. And typically how that's responded to, very Chicago fashion, he's left the hell alone. Mm-hmm. Right? Just it's none of our business. Your friend's sick, got to something, we're just over here. But as he stands in front of you, he lets the silence take hold for a moment more. And right, Sullivan, it's the death of a sale for silence, right? You go to pick up, and he just raises his hand, no need. Gentlemen, what have you heard of the Church of Cain, as he points around the room?
Ramsey will just quickly glance at Sully and pull out the letter since he was the last one to have it. Only what this says, although, and he'll thumb the emblem that's on there that had that indentation. What's written in here is new to me. Never heard it before, but some of the things that's printed on here, they seem a little familiar.
Why does it seem familiar? Oh, maybe you've been to a sermon.
I'm sorry?
Maybe you've been to a sermon.
Not one here. No, I get the idea of the cross, at least how the mortals see it. How much I understand. What is this? What is this moon on here?
Well, hardly shocking you don't know that symbology and beyond what you were. We'll assume you've missed a whole portion of that, but that's sort of jumping into the deep end. How about we start with why I invited you here? Can we go there? Is that all right?
Yes, please, if you'd be able to.
In the church, it's necessary for, we'll say, a bit of trickery now and then. And in this obfuscation, in my name, for instance, is not Reverend Sweetwater, nor am I a reverend. I'm obviously a priest. It's rather different. Before we get to that actual naming, that nomenclature is on purpose. Every head of a Church of Cain in a city is a Reverend Sweetwater. It's done on purpose. It's a ridiculous name. You would hear it down south of anyone who was proselytizing or preaching the good gospel, as it were. So in this end, we uphold the masquerade very well. Hardly you can hunt down everyone named the Reverend Sweetwater, you run out of time. Although I'm certain the populace of Sweetwater would appreciate the attention. So if we can look past that, and my obscurity is necessary, the reason why I don't give you a name, yes, it is to hide who I actually am, and for the safety of my congregation, it's very important. The other half is because who I am is not important. You see, the Church of Cain is about kindred, Cainites specifically. At that doorway, your term of kindred must be left. Here you are yourself. Nobody here is alive at all, and nobody here is immortal. And that pretense can be left where it belongs, out there. We here do agree that the mortal should ever be hidden from who we are, for they're the sheep. They're the ones that should be walking in ignorance, believing the Lord has them in the palm of their hand. Well, in the palm of its hand, I guess is a better terminology, but to us, we know better. And before we get to the heart of that, knowing better, I often like to start not about us. At this point, knowing this little bit, if you're uncomfortable, we can stop here. And in this, I give you permission to leave. Thank you for coming. And if this feels too off-putting to you, you're free to your own existence. I will see you again, as you're not going to see this die off. This is the actual faith. Here you would have answers as to what you're supposed to be doing. Here you learn why there's a hierarchy that you have to uphold to in the Camarilla. Here you will understand why the Camarilla is correct and the Sabbat is deluded. Here you'll learn why anarchs are wrong.
He'll take a quick look first at his cohorts to see whether or not they answer first.
Ramsey's just kind of like cocked his head to the side. He's just listening to the priest right now. Once you stop and look at him, he'll look at you, and then he'll look at Slappy to see if he makes a move.
Slappy's got like a big old smile on his face. And he's like, well, I'm always down to hear right and wrong and why you think that it's one way.
Sully will chime in afterwards and be like, Reverend, even though I know you're not a Reverend, but I'll call you Reverend until you tell me otherwise. I'm curious, why me?
It's not a personal thing. You understand that the Prince Kevin Jackson merely tolerates the existence of the church, as in the entirety of the Camarilla does. We'll start where it's most important. Why are we permitted to exist, and why are we here? And I think the simplest answer is for you to understand, what have you heard of the beckoning?
Kindred called from all over the world back to the cradle of civilization. That's where most of the Sabbat packed up and shipped off.
But not all kindred,
No.
right? And I must insist we call them Cainites. Kindred means a fellowship, and certainly I am no kindred to the Sabbat.
Cainites. I think we can agree to that. Not said that in a while.
Is he correct? Is the beckoning a tune the Sabbat follow that some great musician vampire is playing that only they can hear?
To be honest, I wouldn't know. This is the first time me hearing the Sabbat all marching over there, or to this beckoning of sorts. I just knew that certain elders went to ground, or at least they packed up their affairs. But that's as much as I know on my end. Slappy, what about you? You hear anything about that? Hopefully you hear about something. You kind of just give him a stern stare.
Slappy will look at Sully and give him a stern stare back and be like, I haven't heard of any tunes sending Cainites.
Well, we'll simply start there. We know, Church of Cain, I know, absolutely, that this beckoning is a call from Cain directly. You see, Cain has awoke, is walking. Who he calls to him are those who he wants to fill his veins. He deserves to feed, and he's calling those who we feel are the most errant and irrelevant to him at this time. He leaves those how do I put this? If you don't know what the beckoning is, well, you're blessed. That means you have time. Time to understand why it is you are here and permitted to exist. If you have to answer the call, that's between you and the caller. Now, you don't have to believe that that's Cain specifically, but it suits me to know that. I've heard all sorts that, no, it's the wicked antediluvians, the heads of the clans that are there calling their children home. Well, if that were the case, why are we still standing here? Wouldn't we all feel it? And before we answer that ludicrous idea, since some of you haven't heard and some of you were well off in your own ignorance, let me make this make sense to you. The blood that makes you immortal in your veins does not belong to you, it is Cain's. Plain and simple. It's his diluted blood that gives you the power to continue your existence. Is this even in contention, or can this be accepted as the truth?
No, that's the truth.
I'm listening.
Yeah, Slappy stays quiet and he just kind of rolls his eyes. He's like, sure.
Good. Then we'll start at the end with we'll call doubted, or whatever it is that you're throwing off. Slappy, you said. It's irritating to see someone in your shoes still willfully choosing to be this ignorant. You're a youth who was made whatever you were, and you truly believe there was no price to be paid for your immortality. That you could just go on being as you were, allowed to perfect what you could, knowing that nothing you've done was ever done under your own power. You're not a successful musician because of your skill alone. The blood steals that from you too. That's what immortality does. It eliminates weaknesses, but it highlights your sins. And for the most of us, that's a struggle we deal with nightly. There's something in you, whether you call it a beast or a enlightenment, I believe the Sabbat like to call it, where there's a struggle where you try to reconcile or oppose this feeling within you. Understand what that feeling is nothing less than God calling you home. The beast is not merely a function of your hunger. It's not merely who you are. It's that which seeks your end. You are forever trying to commit the sin that Cain himself committed, that he hungers for. See, Cain does not feel a beast. What Cain feels is guilt. And it's a guilt he doesn't recognize. And that is the issue between him and, of course, God. And because of that, anyone who has his blood, it won't translate the same. It becomes diluted. Instead, it turns into a hunger, an endless river of blood to remind Cain of what he did.
That's pretty highbrow there. Reverend, why all of a sudden now? Right? I'm trying to pick up what you're putting down here.
All right, you're not listening. You're not. You want a magical quest? Did I bring you here to just put you on a path to go collect groceries and come back and I'll give you another test? No. What I brought you here to do is the same I give everybody an opportunity to. Do you think any of you here were meant to continue your existence?
You'll say something to that.
Of course not. You weren't. You may be wondering why, and it's simple. The Camarilla doesn't need you. In fact, it needs less of you, but it doesn't have a choice. It's a wall and city based on lies. The Camarilla was made by those who were descendants of, well, these errant children who tried to recreate a city to get it right. The first city. We're talking of Enoch, where the great tragedy was. And the table's being set again. Those children have awoken, and they're awakening, whether they're beckoning them or it's Cain beckoning specific people to him, maybe even them who hid amongst us and we're following them to the dance. Who knows? What I do know is that the truth is right in front of us, and we understand what it is here at the church. The games are over. The deceit is not necessary, not amongst ourselves. There are truths in the book of Nod that were laid out that a lot of us have known, handed to us from the diary of ancients, if you will, their direct word before they've taken the slumber, those who've cared for him. Our own Critias can verify most of what I've said. After all, did he not walk those years? Hardly an argument that he's one of the oldest, if not the oldest, in this city. So, that being said, this church isn't destroyed because we give you an opportunity to see the truth. It's up to you to accept it or not. And there's a better story to learn. For instance, it should be comforting you to know, Ramsey, that the Sabbat is half wrong. Not 100%, they took the easy way out. What they heard was that there were 13 antediluvians who got it wrong that were offensive to Cain, and now they wage an open war against Cain. Where they sin and what they have forgotten was that our charges were the humans. It was not Cain's command to torment humans for your pleasure. He said, you should not be like a god unto them. He said, you should not seek them to be your slaves and your servants. You were to be a shepherd to them. Feed as you will, for that is your right. But it was not you who was supposed to make them be your bound servants. They should never know of you. Live amongst them, have them believe you are one of them, but you were never supposed to lord over them. For that was the first mistake of the first city. Do you see? The Sabbat seeks the slaughter of mortals if they get in the way. They're only there for food and don't care if they know of them. And the retaliation is the threat that was given. They will rise up. We can't deny it.
While he's talking, I'll turn to Slappy. A lot of what he said tonight, I got thoughts about, but what he just said, that is right. It is absolutely right. We are predators. We have that hunger. He and I might disagree on where that comes from or why we have it, but how we exist here. He's not. A lot of what he's saying is ringing familiar, but not all of it. I think what he's got to say is worth listening to, at least for a bit longer. And that goes for you too, Slappy.
Slappy just looks at Ramsey and he's just like, man, I'm all about listening, right? I want to hear what he's got to say, but gotta be honest with you, I don't really give a shit how you make a hot dog, right? As long as you got a hot dog in the end.
God damn. Did you and Warren have pass each other in the night? Were you a shovelhead that came up out the ground a night later and then came into the Camarilla? You don't care how a hot dog is made. You don't care. Sorry, to me that sounds like you don't give a shit about who you eat from if you kill them or not.
Nah, man. You got it all wrong. I'm the hot dog in this scenario, right? I'm not talking about, yeah, of course I know that. Look, there was a price that was paid, right? And I pay it all the time. Every night that I continue my existence, yeah, I pay that price, but I don't give a shit about everything that came before it.
You don't care about why you pay that price night after night?
Please, children, please. I don't mean that derogatorily. And all our children to the priest of Cain. But until you understand the wisdom, Brother Ramsey, I will say, perhaps that's easier to take. The assumption you have, you're not wrong to chastise, but you must understand there are levels to the hell we're in. And indeed, earth is hell. And if it's one truth I give you, note what I said. You bear the brunt of the sin of what Cain did. And we call it the beast, but it's you who suffer through it. And you just highlighted it. The sin you have cannot be greater than what Cain has done. And this is the very thing Cain did not want. He calls to your blood. The powers you have, those are Cain's power. You have but the watered down version of what he could do. Anyone is weaker than unto Cain, of a gulf that we can't measure. That's just the truth. And you hear him, and you hear his wrath every time you give in to your, I believe you colorfully and derogatorily call it beast. and you somehow want to blame it. You're right to think it's a hell because this is hell. Earth is for everyone. It is for mortals as it is for us, but there are levels to this, as it is said. When you're born into this world, it's through pain that's on purpose. It is a sin to fornicate, simply is. Only God shall create life. God does not work through anything. If God wants something done, it is. That's known. Those are facts. You can try to refute them, but you can't any more than why you roast in the sun. There is no scientific theory for that. It simply is. Therefore, it is a work most miraculous. To that end, when mortals are born, and we all were those mortals, we walked around given freedom to do what we will as we thought, and look what we have done. We invented sins that weren't there. And as time went on, we only got worse. And the more powers we have, the worse damage we do. We can't help but to devour what was put here in front of us and repurpose it for our own ends. That is what mortals do. It's what we do. Therefore, they're the basest level. They're the most ignorant. They are filled with pride, which we all know pride goes forth the fall, but they are the most fragile. They are the most easily tormented. Their agonies are all self-delusional based until they are actual, and even then it's brief. Stab a mortal and they will relax. They can even heal and recover from it, but they will remember that briefly. But they will agonize endlessly about their own personal torment. You have to see that. That is a hell. There is no nirvana. There is no inner peace. There is no meditation they can do to escape the fact that they still lust, they still hunger, they still give to excess, they still wound, they still injure, and always and terribly they need. Whether you're a mother who obsesses so much you control the life that you put into this world, or you're the father that wishes desperately to be anywhere than be with his family because he still is that man looking to sow his oats in multiple women. Why have one? Why indeed? If you are in hell, you are here to sin. Those are facts, because you can and you have. Now, most of us, we call them adults. Look at our sins and admit that we understand them. We know where the line is. Whether you drink, do drugs, sex is your game, seduction, love and leave them, whatever it is, greed, power, those are sins. But when you become a Canaanite, a vampire, those are condensed and washed away from you to show you the greatest sin. It echoes in you every time you get hunger. That's truly what it is. This is why when you lust for something, you would rather feed on their blood than actually fuck it. This is why when someone eats a steak, you think of feeding on them. Have you not wondered? Have you truly not sat back and enjoyed a great philosophy or a work or a book and feel that energy, that rush of enjoyment, and then thought of hunger immediately? There's a reason for that. You are ever Cain's descendant the moment you take in that blood and it makes you immortal. And we know that. And once you accept that, you begin to wonder, why is it that we must bear Cain's curse? And that answer is one we search for that only the Dark Father can answer. He calls out through the blood of a great crime that was done. And his wrath so infinite, he's so powerful that we can't help but bear the burden. There are those older than you on another rung than us. So I'll go back to the lesson. If this is hell and mortals are the lowest rung, when you become immortal, you ascend one above them. And the older you are, the different tiers you hit, based on your acceptance of how close you are. For when you're immortal, no longer do the slings of arrows and knives have any fear for you, and disease no longer affects you, i.e., hell loses an ability to torment you. That's because the blood enlightens you. It elevates you. It gives you strength, but it then burdens you with the truth. This is what you have to realize. What I give you is the barest truth. This is just the beginning of what we have to offer here at the church. What they have created out there, at those doors, is religion and politics and nonsense. And where this is a religion, it's actually your religion. Whether you want to belong to it or not is up to you, but it doesn't make it any less true. Now, I promised you the Sabbat is wrong, and you heard Ramsey admit this. And you wanted to hear why the anarchs are wrong, and it's rather simple. The anarchs wish to stick their head in the ground and ignore these truths. They want to make it their own. They want to go back to being immortal. That's the real truth of being an anarch. They want the freedom they had as immortal to sin and do whatever they want left alone, except by what the laws tell them wherever they go. They're not wrong to want this, but it's also folly. The only way you get that freedom back as an anarch is death. There is no way you will get this back. The Camarilla is also wrong. The reason being is the Camarilla just recently came around to admitting the truth, that the ancients are real, that there is a king, and most certainly he's real. To their bitter hatred, they had to admit something was greater than them. You understand that?
Sully takes a look at the room, not so much as any others, and he's using that moment to kind of just think to himself, Bob, is there a possibility that I might be able to make a politics role? Just to, based on what he's saying, how many people have also been drinking out of this Kool-Aid, just to see whether or not they're the ones being targeted, or if this is actual reality within, and he's just never noticed it.
So the political end of this is that this isn't politics. This is no more politics than whether the Catholic Church has any bearing on the American government or any government. There's a separation clear of church and state. And what you understand, the Camarilla has never, at least it hasn't had any bearing on Elysium. The traditions are one thing and that's that, but there's no law against you believing or congregating to discuss anything, really, except if you're joining the Sabbat.
Right. I mean, to say, like, in his, even passing through Elysium and listening to other members, right, whether or not, like, his rhetoric has, like, spilled through, or so this is brand new to him as far as he knows it.
Going with Sullivan's background in history, what circles he travels in, no one would ever bring that up to you.
Right.
If it was discussed, and most certainly you feel it is. This guy has a building in the inside of the city and easily met someone, seems well connected, and it seems organized. You have no reason to believe that this guy is some lunatic stuck in the middle of the city. No one's noticed it.
Got it. The only thing Sullivan will add to that then is, like, why now? Out of curiosity, we haven't heard about this in time, and I guess you mentioned, and he'll point, like, he'll hold his hands out, that the Camarilla apparently just woke up to this news. Is this the only reason why these sermons are happening? Why not sooner?
They wouldn't tell you until they had a reason to understand why the Camarilla was formed. They were losing to the anarchs. The short version, right? We'll keep this short. The anarchs were formed because of the abuses of their sires. People like you would be serving people like Kevin Jackson. Bloodbound, forced to stand, change his clothes, cover up his messes, not permitted to do a thing for yourself day in and day out, and night in and night out if they so chose. Really, you're at their whim for whatever they wanted. This is the antithesis of what anarchs would want, and no one in this room would want to be a slave. But the sires of old didn't care. This is a darker time, often referred as the Dark Ages. The burning times came about because mortals figured it out first, but the mortals started proving that they can oppose their dark masters. It's often credited that this happened over in Eastern Europe. Somewhere the mortals originally opposed and killed their dark tormentor first. And once that was done, it proved to those children that they could be set free by killing an elder. And you get where that comes from. Word spread, they knew they could do it, and now they could oppose. And they often did it on the backs of these mortals who were church-led. They discovered it. The Pope, I guess, decided it has to be done away with. And I'm not even remotely from that era. And but I did read well, and this makes all the sense. The elders had to come to an agreement. How do we stop this? It became less stomp it down and kill them than understanding that for every one child they destroyed in such a capacity, ruined any relationship they had with other children. To know to oppose your sire meant death, while others would choose to oppose that sire now while they were strongest than later. Others knew they needed help and found it. You could see An anarch army was growing to face off against the elders. But what these anarchs don't realize is that there were lessons they should have walked into this war knowing. Chief amongst them is, if you know the story of the antediluvians and how they rose up to kill the most blessed three children of Cain, that it took all of them. It didn't take 13 specific antediluvians, it took the multitudes that existed, in fact, a city, to lay low three. And the antediluvians left are who we descend from. Let that weigh on you for a moment in the back of your mind. The Camarilla faced with anarchs who believed they had the power to swat these elders and pull them out of their homes and kill them and teach them a lesson. This is the mentality of anarchs when they get together. However, they found when they banded together and went at these elders, those who went first were surely going to die. Without a doubt, they wouldn't survive the wrath. Initially. Enough of them, though, could get it done. But you tell me how you convince a crowd that some of you are going to die immediately, and those who sit to the back, well, you can pick up the pieces if they're weakened enough. What happens when they're not weakened enough?
Then crusades fail.
That's exactly right. And so you wonder how the Camarilla came out on top. Well, the elders banded together like the anarchs did. And they formed their own organization, one they knew they could keep, but they decided, why does it have to be filled with tumult, chaos, and opposition when we can simply tell them, we will give you an option to rejoin us and obey certain laws. We know this story. And of course, it's accepted to the anarchs who were rational. Have your own domains, so be it. But we expect you to uphold the same laws that we restrict ourselves with, but the one to enforce is the master to do so. We have no problem because it's the greatest of laws amongst kings. And of course, that is why you have that law. And of course, that is why anarchs uphold it. However, where it goes south is the Sabbat formed from those anarchs who arrogantly felt that they absolutely can still oppose those elders, believing that they were somehow going to win eventually on a long enough timeline. And they went off with their rhetoric. However, they found a horrible truth when they were alone. When they looked at the Camarilla and saw the formation of those elders, who told the Camarilla that they could form and that it would work? Some ancient gave them the idea. Someone gave them the foundation of the laws that they could follow that would permit them to join. And who set it up to where you can convince one prince and another prince and another that they could form their legions and make a formidable opposition, a tower as they call it. This idea came from somewhere, and the Sabbat knew the truth. Yes, some ancient, some terrible antediluvian gave them this whisper, and they had the foundations of what they needed to do. We know this is true. Rebellion it's not spontaneous. You are taught it. It starts as embers and it turns to a roaring flame when successful, but that flame kills both sides. Both people and the wood are burnable, and any form of anarchy or uprising is simply the way of things. In fact, anarchy only wins when everything's torn down, everything burns, and from the ashes, something else rises anew.
Right. So this whole Cain bit, is this just like salvation through Cain? I'm just trying to understand.
You want the angle? There isn't one. You were reached out to the same everyone's reached out to. The beckoning is pulling important people, calling them home to a final home. And it's not you. What will you do to make sure that you're not next? This isn't like they're being pulled off the line and it's your time for the next 1,000 years to take a crack at being a better prince. That's not what this is at all. Surely you can see that ancients have woken up and are calling to home their court. And those who pass and are up to snuff will be to the side of them. Those who fail will be devoured, but even those ancients will be destroyed by Cain. Cain gave the way he wants us to live by, the only hope we have at a continued existence. And we know those truths. We would share those truths. We would give you the opportunity to live by those truths, and we will let you know, as deluded as the Camarilla is, they're not wrong in their organization and structure. The very thought of lex talionis in the traditions are from the words of Cain himself. That's their origin. They followed it in ignorance and misdirection, deception. They didn't want to admit that there were Methuselahs before them, the blessed children of the ancients. So, to you then, hearing this, and I do love a good religious discussion, but I also understand that only so much can be learned per visit. You only hear so much. The simple truth is that either you want to belong to the church, and this is the option. In it, there's help. Someone you've come in contact with let us know of your plight, and you have many. You have Sabbat refugees that can't make sense of who they are. We are your home. We understand what you are, and we know why you couldn't stay with the Sabbat. And there is no forgiveness needed, for you saw the truth. This is merely the place you go, as a sanctuary to make sure what you believe in is still respected for you, but we are the reformation you seek, to belong to the Camarilla and see it for what it is. They were never the enemy, not as they are now. They were misguided as you were. And it took their elders being plucked away to the Middle East, as you say, for them to have the room to make that call for themselves. But I should tell you, I shouldn't have to inform you that there were elders who belonged to the Sabbat long ago who have been on the side of the Camarilla, even from afar. This is how the Camarilla and Sabbat still existed.
There were elders that I'm sorry, what maybe I misheard him. Did he say there were elders that in the Camarilla that helped the Sabbat? Is that what he just said?
He did.
Okay. That gets an eyebrow raise from Ramsey.
Well, let me put it in a way that makes sense. It's just a political distinction that you're aware of. You think an anarch and a Sabbat and a Camarilla mean anything. They don't. You are all Canaanites.
Mm.
That's the only thing that matters.
Okay.
To call yourself and put dividing lines in the sand, so be it. But none of the elders in any of those organizations care to acknowledge it. That's something we get told because you're young and you need to belong. In fact, that's the first thing you learn is, what is it? Neonates is the term? Where do I go? What do I do? Who do I answer to? Very natural. The natural order of things when one's given power. So I called you here only to give you the opportunity to be of the church. We meet once a month. When we meet, we offer the opportunity of confession. During that confession, it's what the church can do for you and what you can do for the church. The price, of course, is that the Crimson Curia, that is the clergy in the Church of Cain, we demand to hear the truth of your strife. You agree to give no lies and to simply tell why you have done what you've done. We will seek absolution for you in all ways. That if you have wronged the city's strictures, at the very least, your soul can be right with Cain. And really, it's only Cain that can judge you anyway. We're all in hell. What do we have a right to judge one another for, save on one end? What we hold as sacred is the masquerade. Torment the mortals at your own plight, but when you do, you need not worry about a prince. We'll find you.
And you're saying this is going to save us from the beckoning.
Sullivan, I'll say it for the fifth time since you've been seeking it. There is no angle for you to be here. There is no chance for you to turn this into an opportunity. That's not what I'm offering as a deal. Little Cainite, you came in this door in ignorance of even what this organization was. The name Cain was even foreign to you. The one closest in this room that I truly wanted to speak to is Ramsey, that I knew would be more comfortable with this knowledge. Was Warren, who I knew would be more comfortable with this knowledge. As for anarchs, I don't care one way or another. Slappy will take this and laugh it off, or he won't, but he'll still be judged the moment he steps out of line, one way or the other. That's his opportunity to understand that you always have to answer to something for what you do. That is no different for us than it is for you. There is no freedom. There is the delusion of freedom, is what goes on. Anyone who's the most richest, most powerful mortal in the world can tell you they're the most confined being in existence. That alone should be your truth. Surely you're insightful enough to get that when you make billions of dollars, the whole world pays attention when you stumble or you succeed at something great. But how terrible it is to know that if you do nothing with your billions, they will vilify you in an instant. They often do. So too is this. So it's up to you as Cainites, what you choose to do. But as far as what Cain wants you to do, and that's between you and Cain, but we simply can give you the lessons to help you make sense out of what you are, to become better in tune with the powers you are gifted through the blood, to understand why you feel what you feel, to help you divorce this terrible guilt that you have in the actions you may take, to do the right actions. That's another mistake, that there is another way of life you have to ascribe to. Divorce yourself from mortals. That's not the way either. But you do have to know how to distance yourself from the guilt that you would feel. You can't think as a mortal now that you're a Cainite. It simply doesn't work. But you can be a Cainite of intellect who can understand that where a mortal died because you had to feed, you didn't need to destroy the family and the police who come to naturally defend and care about said mortal. And that doesn't make you a monster for it. If that's nothing to you, Sullivan, and that's of no benefit, then that's why it's of no benefit. But we are not hidden, not from the Camarilla. No.
He'll simply nod slowly, and just kind of take a look over at Ramsey, kind of just gauging.
When you were talking with him, he was mostly looking at you, Sully. The only time Ramsey showed any kind of emotion or response was when the Reverend got to the point about when you do kill someone, there's no need to kill the cops that come for them or their whole family. That just got a series of head nods, like he's right. So if you're like plain face just judging this, they'll just look right back at the Reverend. When is the next meeting?
Tonight is a private meeting for us whenever there's new members. Most of us are hidden, even now. If you would remain behind, you wouldn't even see them. I would dim the lights. Everyone would take their positions in the seating accordingly. And we have these sermons in the dark. The only one who's ever seen is I, the Crimson Courier. But you will feel the others. We don the cloaks appropriately. They do obscure the face on purpose. And why this is done is because you're allowed to live your illusions as you will. Be you Anarch, be you Camarilla member. After all, the Anarchs are part of the Camarilla now, officially. They have no choice. And what I mean by that, is about to declare war on them. They don't have a place to escape to.
Convert or die. It's familiar.
This makes it dangerous, and we accept them in because we all know the mortals hunt us all, and they make no distinction. Therefore, it is dangerous on a front for Anarchs to maintain in the open without the infrastructure. In the Camarilla, they at least have a chance to gain ground and maintain what they have and have an infrastructure, which is why there is no stake in Slappy's chest and no one's hunting him in the city openly. Not as Camarilla. At least, not that would come down on Slappy for defending himself. I believe it's like being an autarch. You don't wish to be a part of politics? Absolutely. Let it be known and never attend Alicia. But for us, I hope that answers your question. Once a month, we'll meet here. It's at midnight it begins, and it ends 1 hour after. Except for those who choose to attend or have a confession in mind. Then you would show an hour early.
For Warren, a private meeting with him or come bring him an hour before?
I will leave you to speak to Warren. If you wish to be here, I do believe you're more than capable of explaining to him what we've discussed here, and please do. I don't keep the church hidden, none of us do. We just maintain the masquerade is all. Oh, you may get others from the ministry opposing exactly what we stand for, but as all things religious, we permit it. They're free to believe as they will, as are you. But I can sense the room being what it is. If there are no questions, I won't continue proselytizing. I simply could to explain further, but I feel knowing that the points I want to help you with to think about. Earth is hell. Simply is. No one has it good here. You're given certain immunities based on your elevated standing in hell. But what you do with that power is solely up to you, and you certainly can squander it. But if you don't know why you have this power or what you're to do with it, that becomes a problem. And I did explain the beast, but perhaps this makes more sense to you. I discovered a long time ago that there are layers to this existence that you can come in contact with. I'm certain you can speak to any Tremere or the Hikata, I think could give even more insight. That it's not merely this world of flesh that's here. Heaven and hell are layered, right? They can't commingle, but they are separate. There are those who can hear on the other side and tell you what goes there, depending on what it is. Speak to the right person, and their perceptions often will color what it is. But because these realms exist, this proves why the blessings you have are there. And they are bloody, dark blessings indeed. But that is why Cain has them and why you benefit from them. The truth is there. We've all known it. We just never see it. But mortals will call them hauntings, mostly. And there's enough folklore for them to look up to, be afraid of them, to make movies and whatnot. But it's all in ignorance, trying to explain, and more importantly, to deal and accept the fact that we exist. Certainly, we don't want them to believe it in the open. Their paranoia invites the war even worse than it is now. And that's what we seek to end, is the second burning times. But the only way we do that is obeying the strictures of Cain. And with that, if there are no questions, I believe that's a thank you for coming. Remain if you wish, but this is why I wanted you here, Sullivan. I believe Kevin Jackson has his court, but more importantly is your soul. And I think your political standing and whether you have a Benz or a Bentley.
Is the meeting going to be here next month or elsewhere?
It will be here.
He'll tap on his leg a bit, almost as if it was a nervous tick, and he says, "Well, thank you. I guess we'll see you next month then."
He'll give a smile. It's the term wan smile I use, but if you don't know the term, it's somebody who, that 1,000-yard stare he had, maybe he was speeding when he came in, and now is that it's someone who wants to hurry up and tell you all that they know, right? Like you could feel there's more they want to say, but they simply know maybe you're not ready. And he's giving that restraint, but it's not eager. It's more like, very well. And he'll see you again at some point or he won't. And very patient with that, but he shows great restraint in not talking further.
Gotcha. He'll after having said that, he'll say goodnight and be like, "Gents, I'm just gonna take a quick breather outside. I'll be right out. I don't know if you want to stay here and talk to the Reverend or not, but be right out there." And he'll just start walking towards the door.
I do got one question for you. What's in it for Kevin? Why does he permit this church?
So you're referring to the prince, that Kevin?
Yeah.
Let's understand what the Camarilla is. They're no better than you. They simply are older, therefore higher rung, of course. But they have a duty and responsibility to see to it that the lessons you learned are the same ones they did. They're not seeking to tell you what to do. They're not there to tell you how to build an empire or why you should feed on one mortal or kill another. They're here to make certain that you obey the traditions of Cain. That is all. Because in this, it's all the freedom they can give you. It's all the freedom they themselves have. But they're not here to tell you what it is. And I believe the real reason is because to Kevin Jackson, the Primogen, and any prince in this organization, they are pissed off at this truth. It is not as if they were brought in and told as you are right now. This is something recent. And by recent, I mean last decade. There are always seeds, and there are even some that might even try to call this a heresy, as if somehow we invited all the mortals in to pick the best choice for them. And you could see why the mortals wouldn't choose one that says they're in hell. But indeed they are, because we exist. That is proof from them enough. They're here as cattle. How is that fair? It's because God isn't fair to the sinner. It's to the sinner to purify themselves. And when you understand that, that's why you know that there is a heaven. Your existence is proof of that. And to something like Kevin Jackson, who can only see power and what he wields and that he can command or war with whomever, it'll be a bitter pill that he'll have to swallow on his own end, every bit that it's bitter to you or that it was to me. After all, I was a Priscus and a Sabbat before this. I'd seen many wars. I've known my fair share. But I lost my identity on purpose. Indeed, I think it can be said I don't remember what it was before they had a hold of me. And I couldn't even tell you what century that was, if it was a century. The Sabbat have you do something terrible. When you take someone and you devour their life, you can actually devour their soul through the blood. It's a terrible back door that is part of Cain's blood. He inflicted that as a curse. It's the sin the antediluvians did. It's his true curse. He made it possible for what they did to be inflicted upon them 100-fold. And they thought it meant that it could only be done in pain, the 100-fold. What they meant was the amount of people that would come to do it to them. Hence why one of the laws of Cain was never to make more of yourself. It's a debatable topic, canonical to be certain, but it is something that many debate and feel one way or the other. But you understand what this diablerie does, where it grants you power, it steals your mind. Your thoughts are rifled with the thoughts of another. I have woken in this very pulpit and have wondered if I am in a room filled with followers of the Church of Cain, or am I standing in front of the Atlanta Crusade before it launches? I only know it's Atlanta because I remember the faces there. Some of the ones that have known have died, that should have died, or I've been told have died. And it's an instinct, a certainty. I've had conversations with people that weren't there that I thought, never mind. It's an affliction, but I can tell you I can't trust my memories save one that feels comfortable. I most definitely know that I have always been the guiding light and principle for others in all things not us, and most importantly, in the Church of Cain. I have debated furiously with those who reclaim not us, who miss the important parts of that book they hold so dear. There were lessons given there. It was never about ascension of power. It was always about knowledge. That is why. So whether I was a Priscus or just an unlucky person selected in a war as an archon who got a hold of this Priscus, I can accept that that is who I am because the purpose is sound. We need an education. We need to know how to survive what's coming. And it is coming.
I got forever. An hour a month won't hurt. And Slappy turns around and goes to follow Sully out.
He'll keep his hands together, and there will be a slight nod towards you, Slappy, as he leaves. Very much, we're not talking a full respect Japanese bow, but his head's down enough as he's mumbling something towards you. And not like he's casting a spell, but you can hear it, much like a priest would say something in Latin before you left and do the gesture. He does a full-on cross, though. And you're thinking it might have been a Catholic cross, hard to tell from that distance and angle, but you leave certain to know it's got to be the symbol he walked in with. But it'll hit you. It'll hit all of you. Just to give it, you all have a bit of insight heavy here.
Mm-hmm.
The term crossroads represents a decision that everyone apparently has to make walking into these doors. Either this dude's completely crazy and full of shit, or there's a lot of truth here and it just scratches the surface. And definitely you guys are there. What direction you took is up to you. clearly. But with that, for the scene completion, I think the growth methods were definitely there, and it didn't go the way I thought. Everybody's going to get the full 3 XP potential for it. I
Oh,
think that's very wise. You guys told the social element to go through with it. No one asked for a die roll, and I was certain I thought Ramsey would have throated the guy, but maybe you need Warren for that. I don't know. There's a
I well, we'll talk about why that didn't happen as we were going. There are several things he said was like, no, maybe not. Remember,
You're
but
golden. Don't worry
yes,
about it. Just a little ribbon, little ribbon.
I
So,
know.
with that, as you guys write that down, where to next as you guys walk out of the church? Still a cool night, though not cold, and world's your oyster.
He as soon as they walk out, and they're out in the open, he looks much more crestfallen to a certain degree. His usual smile kind of just falls down, and she's just, I don't know about you, but I don't want to get eaten up. I hadn't actually considered. He makes some points. The part that really, really fucked me up though was, and I guess if we're really going to be talking about this, and he'll motion with like one hand for them to head over to the car, but with the other, he pulls out his cell phone. He's like, "We really need to talk about that night. I'm going to make a phone call, hopefully, to someone who will be able to help clean this up or at least deal with the situation." But if that reverend was talking about heaven and hell and the things in between, unless I hear otherwise and I can't make heads or tail of it, there was something in between that happened at that laundromat, at that building. That girl,
That
she
thing.
folded into the air.
Yeah, I don't. I've never seen anything like that before, and I like to think I've seen a lot. I could tell you. Well, I'm not going to tell you about the morgue. Who are you calling?
Some British guy. I don't know. I'm gonna give him a ring and see what he has to say.
Some British guy.
Yeah.
Balding, beard, tattoo.
Hell if I fucking know. All I know is I got the number. I'm just gonna give him a phone call either way.
You don't. You didn't
It's
get a name.
Listen, I got a lead, all right? When he hears my voice, he'll know who I'm supposed to
Wait, are
be.
you're gonna call him and talk about what we saw? Man, what's about that
Whoa, whoa,
second
whoa, whoa, whoa.
masquerade?
Get in the fucking car. Just get in the car. Let's talk about it in there. I can't be talking about it.
I'm the one everyone was talking about. You got to remember, there's no masquerade. You can't have a cell phone, Ramsey. Here's a beeper. But all right, whatever.
He'll get in the car, and when he closes the door, he'll take a look at Slappy. He's like, he's new, right? He's just completely new. But he'll turn and do the thing once again where he's like sitting in the front seat, but taking a look at both of you. He's like, listen, sometimes you have to break the rules. Number two, I got the
What?
hookup from Santos. So long as you don't get caught, the first rule about being a ninja.
Sometimes
how
you
you-
have to. God.
Anyways, let's make this phone call, right? We're gonna be together, and he'll pause for a second.
I
The
feel
head
like
thing
you
might
would have
come up.
failed the academy.
Listen, I'm sticking my head out for you, buddy. All right, you and Warren, and Slappy too. Me and Slappy go.
Is that a
We're
joke
good.
about the laundromat?
No, I'm not fucking around about the laundromat. We really
Okay.
need to talk about this because he's going to ask some questions. I'm pretty certain he is because at least Santos asked me about it. And that head situation is going to come up. Go take a look at Slappy. Go ahead, Ramsey. Tell him what happened at the laundromat.
He'll look between you two. You know about the body, right? Poor
I
guy.
mean, I never saw it, but I heard y'all talking about it.
Yeah, it seems Celia got hungry, dragged someone back. He wasn't in good shape. He wasn't gonna make it. So I eased the passing, but then we got the corpse there, and we can't just leave it masquerade and all. That was his head chewed off. So I took his head and I shoved it in the laundromat, decapitated it. We were bringing the corpse out to bring it back because at that point, the laundromat lid destroys the neck bite, so it doesn't look like he was bitten or drained. I mean, there's gonna be some blood loss there, but what are you gonna do? It's not gonna be perfect. Worst case scenario, what the police see there's some serial killer. In a decade, there will be like I don't know, maybe there'll be like Ramsey Portrait of a Serial Killer. But anyway, Don't
Man,
really.
what the fuck? That's what you're trying to avoid.
I was about to say, this motherfucker's talking as if it's some sort of chicken. That was a human being. Do you not understand the
I
situation?
know he was alive. I know he died, and there's nothing we could have done to stop that. And
You
when he's
Eased
dead,
his passing.
I did. The kiss took his pain away. What blood was left wasn't wasted. What would be worse? To just let him die and nothing? The blood is what sustains people. It is life itself. And to just spill that blood on the ground is almost, not almost, is an insult to the thing that made it. If it was up to me, he would not have died, Sully. You call me, you think I'm a monster, I'm an animal. I am a monster because I'm a fucking vampire. But I also understand that not every living thing is a plaything for me.
But did you have to decapitate him? I mean, I'm not
Remove
crazy, am I, Slappy?
Nah, man, I'm definitely picking up what you're putting down about not having to shove his head in the laundromat.
Ramsey will
You
just kind
know.
of throw up his hands. Not.
I don't know, man.
His throat was torn out. Cutting it off removes that evidence. The bite marks. You know when you bite people and you don't lick the wound, you leave a mark.
Right, but I mean, couldn't we have like you told me to get a tarp and we were going to wrap him up, right, and then bury him somewhere?
Yeah,
Isn't
that was
usual?
the plan, and then the thing ate the corpse.
Not the head, though. Santos told me that she found the head and its
I was
teeth.
gonna go back for the head, but the rent cycle was on. I couldn't, that door locks.
I don't want to. You know what? We still got the rest of the night to go, and I don't want to have this bear down on my soul right now. He'll dial the British guy's number and put him on speaker.
Yeah, man, you got some confessions next month. Shit.
Why would I confess? I don't. That's not.
Hold on. I'm calling. All right.
Okay, quiet. Zipped.
It'll
Nobody talk
ring.
about heads.
It'll ring and it'll go to voicemail. What's the voicemail though is probably the interesting part, and you'll hear it's garbled, and then it just beep.
Hey, this is Sullivan Carter. I was advised to give you a phone call. There's some pretty interesting news that you might be interested. Anyways, when you have the opportunity to, just give me a call. I'll be more than happy to speak about it with you. Once again, Sullivan Carter. Phone number is 555-923-45678. Thanks. He hangs up.
You'll say I'll get through the messaging and do that the phone. Your phone will ring. It will be from that number. Oddly, didn't pick up while you're before the messaging, but it's there.
He'll pick up the phone. Carter speaking.
Mr. Carter, I must explain that currently the entity that you're trying to speak with, the party, I should say, he most assuredly can hear you. I am talking on his behalf due to the fact that that is as he wishes it. Who am I is irrelevant. You are speaking to the man whose number you gave.
Gotcha, understood. I'm with my cohorts at the moment. Would you mind if I place them on speaker just so that we could share information accordingly in case he or she has questions?
I'm being instructed to tell you that we know why you called according to the message, but get to the point because your message was vague.
Right. There was there's an address, and he'll give the address. At this address, there was a creature that came out of thin air, crumpled up the body of a newborn K-Knight. I don't know why I said that. Kindred, sorry. And it had also devoured and tore apart a human in midair. We need to know. We would like to assist with being able to fix the situation. I heard that your benefactor or employer is an expert, or perhaps we'd be able to assist him.
Perhaps I wasn't clear. He can hear you just fine.
Right. Sorry. Yeah, we'd like to clean up the situation. Anything we could do to help. Any information would be great.
I can easily answer a few things. Number one, the the master is absolutely in the know of your situation, has been contacted already. what we will confirm is the fact that your Damien is well in hand of the situation already, and the parties involved, at least as much as we can tell. What I mean by that, Santos was pretty thorough. That said, we are to the point now where we are wondering what it is that you seek, Mr. Sullivan. Your calling us must know that you are on a very short leash. That is not the term. I believe we would simply say, at least in where I'm from, that you're on the shit list.
You look back over at the rest of the police like, uh, um, yeah, and that's why we want to make good. We're willing to do anything to make this situation as clean as possible.
He's very pleased that you're willing to do anything, and it starts real simply. Do nothing related to that situation as he continues his investigation. And he assures you that that woman isn't dead. You will wish she was dead, but you failed to follow through on that task.
Fucking Warren. Yeah, okay. So do nothing at the moment. I guess we'll be on standby.
I guess you will be. He will be in touch very soon, and that is because you can understand phone contact and this further conversation is very limited from my side of things.
Right. Well, yeah, we'll be waiting for him. Thank you for your time.
Where will you be waiting for him?
He'll take a look at the gents. Slappy, you performing anywhere tonight?
No, but I know a good gas station on the corner.
Gas station? Why the fuck will we ever go to a gas?
It's where you meet people, a gas station. People come and go all the time. Everybody's too busy with their own shit. Ain't got no time to be worried about my shit.
He's not wrong. I used to like kind of pant. It doesn't matter. He's not wrong.
All right, what's the address?
Yeah. And I'll give him the address for the 7-Eleven that I met him at the corner.
Jesus fucking Christ.
He tells the address, you're like, why is this familiar? And you'll just, oh, Jesus. You'll hear the other guy. And this probably is so funny. Oh, good. That is your car then. And he'll hang up the phone.
He'll look back. Really?
Man, you asked.
I'm just saying, you hold meetings at the 7-Eleven?
Yeah, man. Like at the corner, just out of everybody's way. It's no big deal.
Slappy, we're in this together. You know that, right? I can't be. I'm trying to elevate the situation here. It's not going to help me if I try bringing a nice, expensive client to a 7-Eleven for a Slurpee and taquitos. You know what I'm saying? Like we need to look. We'll work on that. We'll get an office. We'll do whatever's necessary. Just 7-Eleven, right? All right. We got some time before we get there. Yeah. Let's just. he'll rev up the car and start heading over towards the 7-Eleven.
It's clear to me that you ain't ever been a struggling musician.
No, I'm not. I'm not a struggling musician. I like to make money. I like to go ahead and screw around with things and like live the finer things in life. I have a laptop down there. Hell, I have an entire gym in my basement that I haven't used up until recently because Ramsey's been using it. He's even using my cologne that I barely wear. It smells good on you though, Ramsey.
Thank you.
Sounds like we should have met in your basement then.
It's pretty nice. I'm not gonna lie. I'm sorry. Anyway, sorry that comment caught me off guard.
Man, it's clear to me that you starved for affection, Ramsey.
As well. Sorry, computer is being a butt, but regardless, description is a storytelling tool all this time. You guys get back to the 7-Eleven, which I don't need to describe, but in the lot itself, you will see there are a couple cars that are pretty standard, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some kids getting out to get some late night snacks, scoring that ever elusive Mountain Dew and whatever the hell else. Actually, let me correct myself. It would be some sort of spring water and energy drinks that you'll see being got with no snacks, ironically. You look at me baffled. Yes, most you see right now go by trends. Trend now is to be a little healthier, but they still live that edgy line. And told what's good, and they can get a hold of some monster that they couldn't have, or try that rain. That's all the rage now, slowly growing, and they have that kicked around. Maybe one of them has candy that the whole group is going to share, as they seem to be that way. Gone is the delicious pudginess of the kid who would get the nachos and maybe share that case of Mountain Dew that all his friends were going to slurp over the weekend. And that was me, in case you're wondering. Our whole generation swilled it. But anyway, despite despite reminiscing aside, some sort of food is being gotten had by the locals, and it's all fanfare. So that makes it odder that there is a guy sitting with a looks like a nice Beamer mentioned tonight, and because it's a standard sign of luxury. There is a gentleman who is African American, dressed real sharp, has white gloves on, and appears to be some sort of driver. You could tell by the driver hat, which seems a little bit uncomfortable, except for the fact that it is a suit so luxurious. Nobody you've seen this parking lot, or probably this section of the state, is dressed as well as this friggin' driver is, right? We're talking the gloves look leather, real leather. His shoes look so shiny you can see your reflection from there, or lack thereof. Dun dun dun. Right. Pressed slacks, good looking. Dude looks peak health, like he would walked out of some sort of agency of badasses that they want to drive people around. So it's funny to you that he stands on the outside and waits. You guys are there just pulling in, and all he'll do is go to the back and he'll open up the door. The lights will hit your standard, yes, bald headed, obvious ritual tattooed, favorite Brit as much as it is. And he's merely sitting there with a disgusted look on his face. Like seeing you guys somehow made his mood worse. Oh, it's really them, is the look on his face as he's the back door is open and the driver won't ask him to get out. He simply leaves it open and he'll look over. And all he does is look straight ahead, but the door stays open as the driver stands holding the door open.
He's like, first he's embarrassed. He's like, 7-Eleven? 7-Eleven? All right, let's go. And he'll enter the vehicle, or he'll take lead entering the vehicle.
Yeah, Ramsey will go in.
So, Sullivan, you climb in, and it's a BMW. This is like a four-door nice car. Sure, you could seat five or whatever if you stuff them in the seats or whatever. That doesn't seem to be. But when he goes in, you're thinking they're going to move over. You'll put in the third, and the driver just, one moment, sir. And he shuts the door and stands there. And Sullivan, that leaves you with good old Tally the Hound. As Tally just has a hand kind of lazily sitting on the shoulder, or on the back of the chair, excuse me, and more leaning on his elbow to shoulder as he's staring at you.
He'll extend his hand. Sullivan Carter, sir. It's a pleasure to meet you. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
You didn't catch my name, but most certainly you know who I am.
He will nod once.
Well, that's appropriate there, little doggy. We can get that out of the way. I do have a question for you. This problem that you started that's now become my problem, you can't possibly understand why it's an issue for me, but you do understand that it's become your issue now.
I do.
Very good. The terms are simple. I have no worries to help you follow through in this investigation as, ironically, my dog pack. Under no circumstances is this woman going to live, to continue her existence, and we must act swiftly.
Of course. Of course. What would how may we be of assistance?
Step number one is damage control. I happen to know that the head, being what it is, circulating accordingly, we have to make certain that there are no evidence whatsoever left behind for it. I happen to know that the Chicago morgue is taking the head to go over evidence to discuss certain key things. What I need from there is for you to discover a means to bury that information. Bury it, obscure it, make it irrelevant. I'm going to assume this is something that your Coterie can handle.
Got it. He'll dig into his pocket and he'll pull out a small notebook, right? And he'll pull out a pen. Very old school and probably telling of his age or at least date of embrace. There are certain things that he still likes to do manually. So he'll start taking down an order and just scratching onto it. Rid of head evidence. Understood.
That's all. Begins there. You have my number. My driver will be in touch with you, if not me, on good nights.
Thank you. We appreciate it. We really do.
Don't appreciate it. Your continued existence is based on your ability to make this failure an opportunity. It's something that's been laid at my feet, and I don't appreciate it.
We hope to form. I'm not sure if we have the tools, sir. I'm telling you, I got a good crew. Ramsey, Warren, the Slappy you just saw outside, and Arad. But you probably already knew that. I apologize. I just want to be thorough.
Well, Bob's your uncle. And so he'll reach past you to open the door and push it open.
Have a good night, sir. And he'll step out.
He'll look up at the driver, who won't even look at him, understanding what's going on. And so shut the door. Good evening, sir. And go to his door. The driver will open it to climb inside.
He'll take a look once back over at the Beamer before looking back at the other two. And
you can feel that guy looking at you. Like, you can't see inside, which
right.
But it's like, he is. And the driver backs up, does his thing, goes to drive off, and you'll see him stop briefly and pulls in, and he'll get out. And he'll go running inside. Seems he has like a $10 bill or something there.
Who, the driver? He saw the driver.
The driver goes into the 7-Eleven.
That's weird. Yeah, he'll look at the other two and he'll be like, "So come on." he'll move a little bit further away from the vehicle. That's
all the driver comes out with moments later is apparently a handful of what appear to be lotto tickets. It's red and white lettering, looks like on receipt paper. Just comes out with it. He'll climb in after handing them to the back, and he'll shut the door, and then he pulls out to pull away.
That's weird. Yeah. So that was Tally the Hound. I'm not sure if you folks are aware.
Rot Warren and I met him.
Oh, I'm aware.
You guys didn't want to tell me that you knew him already?
Do you remember when I asked what the guy whose phone number you got looked like?
Right. I didn't know. To be honest, listen, I don't want to just say that there's only one British member of the society around. That would just be wrong. I didn't know it was going to be that one British member.
What other? Never mind. So you're not dead.
No.
So things are good.
We have a task. So, and you'll pull out the notebook again, little notepad rather. We need to kind of make the head, the information about the head, especially at the morgue, become irrelevant. We need to bury it. I don't mean physically bury it. I'm talking about the story has to be buried where it's of no relevance at all, and it doesn't become something traceable.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't happen to have any connections there, would you?
I might. It might be a two-way connection, but I can try to call someone.
Okay.
I can call someone.
Do you want to tell me and Slappy how you have a connection? Like, I know Slappy plays music, so I anticipate him having, like, connections to music. And I play around in real estate and a couple of people in high society, people with too much money, and that's how I make my money. You're relatively. Do I want to ask how you know?
Let's get in the
all right.
car.
Yeah, that makes sense. No, seriously, like he'll get in the vehicle. So, he's like, "Do you need my phone, or I should probably get you a phone as well?" Here, and he'll hand him his phone.
Yeah. You're not gonna want to use this phone again. Maybe. I don't know. I'm being a little paranoid. So God, I gotta see if I remember this number. Um, to make a long story short, um, remember that hearing about a police station in Napersville?
Yeah, that was a shit show.
Yeah. um. So there was a time me and another guy. We were all that was left of the pack that came out of Napersville. The other three went to that morgue. Um. Anyway, when I went to that morgue, Warren was there. I had to get him out. Right? You think you see how that goes, but I met a guy who might be able to help if the head's at the morgue, but we're gonna owe, or I'm gonna owe. I think that's how this game is played.
Mm.
Um, and with that, Bob, can I call Giuseppe Giovanni?
And you certainly could. Phone rings as they often do. It's an annoying habit they have. Goes about 4 times. This time you hear static that sounds real, almost like it's underwater. I don't know if you ever heard that, like a phone ringing from down below or buried underneath something. But it does remind you of an echoing effect, typically a
Okay.
sign of it. Then you'll just simply hear, "This is Giuseppe."
Giuseppe, it's been a while. This is Ramsey.
Ramsey. I know a few Ramseys in my day. Can I help you with, Mr. Ramsey? Wait a second. Is this Chicago Ramsey?
Yeah.
It's good. My neighbor villain. All right. My head's on straight. My mascara is good. What can I help you with?
Funny you use that description. My understanding is there is a certain head that showed up in the past couple of weeks. I'm sorry. I'll stop wasting your time. And know how busy you are. Everyone is nowadays. I know you. If there's anything you could do to help bury that story or remove that from certain people's eyesights, I would owe you a favor.
I would like to help, except your favors owed, you already owe. Bad business on my end to keep lending when I'm getting nothing in
Mm.
return.
All right. You well, he's not going to say anything about this, but Warren and Sully would notice that as he's talking to Giuseppe, he's like kind of doing this weird thing where he's like rubbing his chest, just like straight up and down. Um, it's not like patting. It's just fucking weird. All right, Giuseppe. Then how about I start paying down that debt?
What a lovely idea. And you have a means of paying down that debt? Like, what are you going to do?
Yeah, I don't have the monetary. No. What can I do for you to pay that?
That's
I'm
an interesting thing. What can you do to pay that? Typically, I would call you when I have something. Now we're in a different arena entirely. It's what
Mhm.
can I have you do to have you do something that helps pay this off? Makes my life easier is what we're looking for. I like where this is going. Um, Simply put, I have to do the rounds tonight. We'll see how well you do with that. If you can pick up the rounds, and this is harmless. It's just a little get together, a little drive around the neighborhoods. I get to trouble people, but that's all you got to do. You collect, you come back, give the cash. We'll consider it goodwill. We'll go from there.
All right. Send me the address. Address
This is
is
pretty easy. You know where the Silver Bean is in the city?
what? Woody? I have no idea.
It's a nice big park in Chicago. I know you're new, but look up the Silver Bean. You shouldn't have a problem with that.
The Silver Bean.
Yeah, it's called the Silver Bean, right? It's this big bean-looking thing. It doesn't have any importance, save that it's like a landmark, right? There's this giant silver bean some wackadoo built there that said it's supposed to be important. I've always thought it was cute. I don't know. I'm not from here, you know.
I have
From
no
Vegas.
idea what I was expecting. It wasn't. It wasn't this.
It's just a silver bean.
Yeah, it's like I don't know what I was expecting. Okay.
So we got a deal. You're gonna go to the Silver Bean. You're gonna do something specific to that Silver Bean, and I'll forward this to it. I mean, I got your okay. You really want to work off this debt?
Yeah.
That's good. So what you're gonna do is go to this bean. All I need you to do is put a hole in it.
All right.
That's it. Take a sledgehammer, like a 15-pound one, get there, and you're just gonna put a hole right in the bean.
Okay.
That's all you got to do tonight. Now, that said, that starts with it, but your problem was something about a head, I think.
Yeah, I found it at a laundromat in Chicago.
Oh, so was this attached to somebody?
No, the corpse was missing.
Well, that narrows it down. Deal made. What'd you want about the head? Should I tell you who it was? Were you looking to see?
No, I already. Well, I don't know who it was, but I need it to be swept under the rug. You know,
It does.
misfiled.
So, great. Sounds great. So you're gonna put a hole in the bean. This begins your debt, and we'll begin part two later.
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever's in the hole of the bean is relevant to my interest as well. You may not have that sort of idea in mind, but I definitely need you to reach in and grab whatever's there and come back with it.
All right. Hole in the bean. Bring it out. It's simple enough. How could this possibly be more complicated or go wrong?
You're a gem. He'll hang up.
Yeah. Gotta find out where this is. He'll hand you the phone back, Sully.
What was going on?
It's getting handled. It's getting handled.
Well, that's
Do
good.
you know what the silver bean is?
Yeah, the Millennium Gate. The art structure.
Yeah.
You fucking pleb. All right.
Um,
Yes, I know where it is.
Is there a Lowe's near there? Hardware store?
No, not by it. I mean, there's
I
probably a
guess
couple of
that's
shops.
good.
Why?
I need to go pick something up, and then we need to swing by there. Gotta
Oh.
make the rounds for the friend at the morgue.
Right. And you need to go to Lowe's.
Yeah. Hey, Sully, how's your swing?
What swing? You
I'm
mean like
sorry.
golf?
I'm sorry. Slappy.
My swing. Shit. I can play swing. I'm skilled in all forms of
Okay.
music.
I know you're related to Warren. You think you can make a we'll worry about it later. I'm gonna need your help, I think. Slappy.
All right, man. I got you. No?
All right,
Well,
where am I
playing a
driving
bat
to?
mitzvah?
Just some hardware store nearby. I gotta pick something up.
Right, sure. He'll punch in an address on his phone and he'll start heading off towards a hardware store open at this hour.
It's not hard. It's a hardware store.
hmm
What you do is that your choices are really not that. Whether it's a Lowe's or not doesn't really matter.
Right.
You can get
Mhm.
there, and what are you looking for?
Apparently a sledgehammer. Probably one
Sure.
about 15 pounds.
You have the imagination. This is not hard for you guys to come up with the money to purchase a sledgehammer.
Mm-hmm.
Unless somebody's going to use it in the store right now.
No.
It's a
God, no.
seamless transaction.
No, paying cash. Not that it's really important, other than Ramsey pays for it. And yeah, we'll go back to the car. I will slide it over to Slappy's side of the car. We need to head to the bean.
What the fuck you need this for?
Um, we gotta. How did he say it? You say do a drop. We gotta pick. We gotta do a pickup, Sully. Uh, we gotta get or at least see what's inside the bean. Look, I
Whoa.
promise you, based on the last thing I had to do, this is much simpler and safer. I
Si-
I think I still have a scar.
Simpler, safer. Have you know, you're new to Chicago, right? I'm assuming that's the case.
Yeah.
Slappy, show him a picture of the bean.
Yeah, Slappy will just reach into his pocket, pull out his phone, and just pull out a picture of that silver bean.
As he's driving, and he'll point in Slappy's direction. It's an art piece. You understand that, right?
Huge tourist spot. People all over the place.
What?
People taking pictures with the bean.
What tourist is gonna be there at like, what is it? Almost midnight?
Man, it's fucking Chicago.
He continues to drive. He's like, listen, what did they tell you exactly?
All right. He said make a hole in the bean, but he doesn't really want the hole in the bean, right? There's something inside the bean that we either need to take or at least get our eyes on, right? And tell him what's in there. I'll probably grab it and bring it back to him.
So you want me to, that's why you asked about my swing and why you got a sledgehammer. You want me to smash that fucking bean.
I don't want you to smash the bean, right? You don't have to shatter. That's fucking ridiculous. I just
Well,
need
I
a
could.
hole.
It's big.
What?
It's big. It's not like the size of an actual bean, right? And you'll keep pointing at his phone. You just need a hole in it?
Yeah.
Shit, if I get caught doing that, I'm gonna be in so much fucking trouble.
He just continues to drive in silence. And
What is it? What is it? Sully has been saying this whole time. Like we've got to be able to produce or like deliver on what we promised, right? What he said to tally the hell. We got to take care of this, and this is what we got to do. Okay, it's not always easy. Sometimes you have to take risks for your pet for the people that are around you. Okay. Right now, all of us depend on getting this head thing swept under the rug. That's how this works.
Yeah, but we're creating a new problem, right? A new problem specifically for Slappy.
Specifically
you're asking
for
me
for Slappy.
Yeah, you're asking me to get out of this motherfucking car at midnight and smash a hole in that bean.
Do you want me to go with you? Will that make you feel better?
oh, calm down, calm down. I'm driving, all right? I don't need you to. We'll figure it out when we get there. We'll figure it out when we get there. And he just drives in silence.
So what's inside the bean?
Well, that's what we got to find out.
Are you fucking kidding me? That's the biggest motherfucking pinata I've ever seen. Slappy's just like fucking rolling his eyes, and he's just like, man, what the fuck?
I can't imagine. Okay, never mind. We don't need to go there. That's still another thing.
Yo, can I at least like wear a mask or some shit? Like, so I ain't fucking just right out in the open sledgehammering a fucking city monument?
Listen, first
Sure.
we'll figure it out when we get there. Do we need to pick up anything? Whatever. Let's just get there first and figure it out from there. And he'll drive to the park.
It's not a hard thing to do to drive to the park, right? That's because it's off of Michigan Avenue, right? Here's the thing. I'm going to show you a couple things I pulled up to get an idea. It's kind of back of what Slappy's saying. This isn't just a bean sits on the side of the road. Someone had an art thing. This is Millennium Park, right? To give an idea, it's in the Loop. This is a high traffic, business known area. The reason why the bean's so popular is it's worldwide. This is like one of the main tourist things to actually do is to come and see this bean in Chicago. And Millennial Park's huge. It always is some sort of festival or event or something that's done for the city. Now, I want you to look at Columbus Drive. It's on the far right. This is more likely than not where you guys are slowly cruising through to see this huge, ambitious park. It's beautiful parkway on either side, well manicured and sculpted. There's not much to hide behind. It's wide open walkways, good looking places to go. And obviously, distance helps to occlude, and that's great. The bean, though, can be seen from the road, right? As you curve and make the loop to come around to Michigan Avenue, that picks up. They don't let you cruise down Michigan Avenue. It's the speed limit that is definitely over 35 miles an hour to get down quickly to get to where you got to go in the city. Parking's established, but you park in a parking garage and you walk through this area, i.e., there won't be any you drive up, kick him out, and he runs over, does it, hops back in the car to get away. You're going to have to come back to do something creative on foot. Now, that said, there are several shopping areas over here, including a Starbucks. However, due to the fact that it's, unless you guys are going there at midnight, you just recently woke up. It's about 10:30.
Oh, okay.
I'd give that to where you guys, it actually will be fair. We'll see you guys got up and going at around 9. Got out and talked to the priest. It took about maybe 45 minutes. And you left and took this conversation. We'll put you right around 10:15. However, a truth, most of those shops are closed. You have, it doesn't show on there, you do have a Dunkin' Donuts that is still open. That's near there where you can kind of walk up and do it, but even they are done at 11, which is where it's at. So you don't have a whole lot going on, and they're pretty busy. There is a McDonald's never far away, a couple blocks that you could kind of park at and maybe leave it there, but I wouldn't trust it. That's a hopping in place. There's lots of people going in and out doing that, and the parking lot's not exactly big. So it seems they might do a lot of drinks for some folks at the highway because you can see signs pointing you where to get out of the city.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a popular route is what I'm hammering home. But all that said, there's still people in that park. Driving by on either side, you can see people walking through. Maybe not crowds like you would expect, but there's enough for you to go, this isn't something to not be noticed.
So, Ramsey, you want to tell me why you have to make a hole in this,
Do you know have you heard of the Giovanni?
Once Upon a Time?
Yeah, I only, Giuseppe's the only one I ever met. We'll kind of look around as we're, walking.
Well, assuming you're walking, I thought you guys were in a car doing your thing. If you're going to park in a parking garage and walk, I do need to know that just so I know when you guys do something. That's all.
Right. I assume we're still parking. That's what I think we are.
Well, yeah, looking for parking.
Okay, or have parked in the car in Point Lake. The last deal I made with that guy, they had to do an autopsy on me. The second time, there was a thing, ironically similar to what our good friend Reverend Sweetwater told us about earlier in the church. You know, about the layers? Maybe. Him saying that only makes it make sense now. I don't know what the fuck it is, but it's probably going to be something either we don't typically see or someone. I don't know, Sully. I don't know what would be in it, but it might be outside the range of normal.
Okay. And you'll park the car he'll park as close as you could get. His intention is like, we're not doing anything without figuring a plan out first. I need to see this thing.
As close as you can get, there's a parking garage.
There we go.
Parking garage, though, it's at this time of night, it's all day $30. So they give at this point.
You'll pay it.
Oh, it's ridiculous, Sully. For you to look at that and go, wait a second, if I came back here at like what, noon? But during the day it's $12 an hour? Just so you
Right.
can just get out and do it. Okay, 30 for all. Okay. All right. Sure. But you're able to, right? It's kind of a pain in the ass. There's a lot of there's traffic here, people leaving, but we've all been to a busy parking garage. It's not a line of people trying to leave like an event broke out, but there's still activity. You walk around, definitely not alone. There are people parking, some walking, never know, hear people talking. That distance and echoey effect that happens in every parking garage, but easy enough for you to get there. Signs posting what side of the street you're exiting on. You're clean to go. And once you get out to the street, you're pretty confident you know where you're at, mainly because you can't possibly miss that park as you're walking in directions. A couple blocks down, maybe about 5 away, but no big deal in the scope of things.
As he starts heading down closer towards the bean, he'll look to both gentlemen every now and then, just kind of like looking back and forth. He's like, all right, ideas.
Yo, I mean, if one of y'all can make a distraction, right, I can smash right through that fucking bean. But that's the thing is, I mean, I'm real nervous about some motherfucker catching me on tape or something, right? That's gonna be on World Star Hip Hop. Dude smashes through bean with sledgehammer. That's like press, right? We swept. That'll make the head thing. That'll sweep it away right away. You know.
Right. That's
That'll
the
be
other
headlines.
part. That'll definitely create another situation. Not only that, but are you sure you're not getting your leg pulled here, Ramsey?
Well, he didn't pull my leg the last time I made a deal with him.
Let's take a look at this bean.
So, without further ado, as you guys are wondering what to do, and you're carrying a sledgehammer, and my assumption is that are you just carrying out in the open, just walking around?
Yeah, Slappy's just holding the sledgehammer. Like, what else? Where else is he gonna put it?
You're doing your thing, heading through the park and minding your business, and people are like, "What the fuck?" Just whatever. Like you putting a tent up, you know. Some guy will look and just keep walking, shaking his head. But this crowd is mostly like late 20s, maybe teens, late teens, more than a couple of them. Like people who have time to kill, walking out in the park at night to screw around. It's about upper 50s, I'd say. It's not freezing. People shouldn't be here. It's just enough for whatever reason they stop here, like you. Maybe they all came here to bang the bean. But the point is you make your time through the park, you get to the illustrious bean has already been posted, right? Big super bean that's sitting right there. There is not a whole lot of people that are just congregating around it because it says at night, so they're not around it directly. But there's tons of traffic down and away from it. Folks like walking away or around it entirely, as if most likely these are the locals. They've seen the bean. They don't need a photo with it. And they're not up there to mess with it. It's not to say it's totally empty. There's just not a whole lot there, right? There is this large, not pavilion, what am I thinking of? This large sign. It's an electronic sign that shows a face that's on it. And you can see there's a water fountain that's sort of, you think timed to the people that walk by. And like anyone else, the magic of it is you walk up, indeed, you see it. You walk past, the spouts come that matches your height and goes down. But if you stay there, it goes through a routine of spouting some water and letting it go down, drains elsewhere. No big deal, because the bean's there and this facial expression appears up there of a person just doing their thing. And then it'll eventually, after a few seconds, change to some sort of advertisement, kind of alienating you out there as much as it does any tourist. Like, what the hell is this and why?
Mm-hmm.
Then there's a little info placard for the bean, and maybe you could see people coming around then. And you kind of miss that point of being immortal when things are simpler. Like this somehow entertains people enough to come here and visit the city, and we have to see a giant metal bean. Like it doesn't. What sense does that make? But lo and behold, you guys are out there. It's just the three of you over by the sign, just sort of, looking around, feeling very awkward because the people at a distance who are kind of shadowed out, minding their own business, walking away or past, you feel like they're watching you.
Oh, that thing is huge.
Yeah. And there's no way they got to be watching you because you're by the beam.
I, I saw a picture of it, right, as it was just standing, like, by itself, and then I saw another picture of, like, a crowd walking underneath the arch.
Yeah.
Alright.
Sully will continue to walk, and he's like, "So, not doing anything to it yet. We gotta take a look around." And he'll be like, one of the superstitious things about this thing is they say if you stand underneath it and look up, it gives adults headaches. But for whatever reason, kids love looking up at it and they don't get headaches. So go figure. I wonder what that's all about. It's just one of the funny stories about this thing, anyway. And he'll just stare at it from his position. Are you sure he said there has to be a hole inside of the bean?
Yeah, one's gonna be made in it. Yeah.
You sure he meant this bean?
Yeah, he said silver bean, look it up. This is silver bean.
He'll Well, just he'll pull out his phone and he'll take a look at the silver bean. He just wants to make sure that Ramsey didn't misinterpret what was being said to him, to see whether or not a Google search for silver bean shows up outside of the cloud.
I'll tell you what, you go to Google and you put in Chicago silver bean, what you get. I'll be goddamn if
it's so outrageous. It is so outrageous. All I'm saying is from an outsider perspective, especially considering what the ask is, he's hoping he finds something else. I trust what you're saying, but I'm just saying from Sully's perspective, that's how he's viewing it.
You do the work in your own lab and you're just shocked. You got the smile that DJ has, Sully does too, just because it makes sense. Like, holy shit. There's a giant metal beam there where we are standing in front of it.
He'll take a look. He's like, listen, right, if we got to make a hole, what does he want you to get from inside the beam? Like, where would you get it from inside the beam? Especially you have to make a hole in there. You see how big this is?
Yeah. That's what the hammer's for.
How much time? Like, and he'll bite on his fist because his anger is like, his annoyance is starting to go up. He's like, this can't be real. He's like, how much time do you honestly think you have once and if you're able to get in? This isn't going to go down in one swing. And he'll like knock on the bean itself. It's a solid structure. That's what I was about to say. It's a solid structure.
When you knock it, it's like.
That's why I wanted him. And he'll hook a thumb back at Skippy. Skippy, not Skippy. Slappy. I'm sorry. I butchered your name.
Slappy's just like standing there with the sledgehammer, like looking at the bean, like looking all up and down it, like taking the hammer and like kind of dinging on different ends.
It's you're digging at it with the sledgehammer. You're like, kink, 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 kink. You're waiting for the doom. No, sure don't. With that needing a roll, though, what you guys are going to witness, you're tapping the sledgehammer. You're feeling awkward, slowly walking around. There's this guy that comes walking over with a cup. Looks rather out of place, I'd say. Like maybe he just woke up in a wrong place and no one said what was going on. And it's always a character, right? You never know what you're going to get at night in Millennium Park. This is no different. And he'll come up. He's like, hey, man, the pelicans that we get around here, I don't like it when the pigeons get rattled like that. Yeah. All the pigeons, they come back to the beam to climb in through strange magic. And they just rest inside the beam and, they're asleep. That's why you don't see pigeon shit anywhere around here. It's because the pigeons treat this as a holy place, right? But you put something in my cup, I'll put something in your brain like knowledge.
Flappy will walk over and pull a 5 out of his wallet and like put it in the cup. He's like, where the pigeons at?
That's good wisdom. I said they go in, but you don't know where they're at. And you didn't know if it was their bedtime. Yeah, come with me. I'll take you to where they live. They thrive over here. As he starts walking out from the beam, going back into the park. And he'll pause when he's like a few feet away to make sure you're coming. He's like, you got to hurry up. $5. They're gonna close before I can get there.
Yeah, fuck it. I'll follow him. Why not? This is not the weirdest thing I've ever done for Giuseppe.
I will follow suit as well, holding the rear and being the paranoid one to take a look around just to make sure that they're not being filmed.
Nobody filmed shit.
No, I'm just making sure they're not getting punked because this is ridiculous.
We're walking along, and this guy's just like I said, well manuscript, walkways and whatnot, and he's following it. Takes his detours as he will. He's like, oh, hang on a second, gotta drain the lizard. This is embarrassing, and you'll see him let his pants fall to the knees, as his belt stops it from going further. But he has a smell that only somebody at like 6 weeks out in the middle of the open could possibly get, right? He could use a decent place to kind of where life isn't chewing at him a bit, strikes you as someone who may have seen definite better days as he relieves himself, continues his struggle if he's not interrupted, to put you on tour of the Lincoln $5 tour. He takes you to what appears to be a bridge. This bridge is connected between see the river of Chicago River where it is, and there's businesses all on one side, and it's completely opposite of where you were. This is more on the other side of the park, where before you could, and when I mean other, you're walking for a good, I'd say 30 minutes. That it's hard to notice. Why I say that, when you're out walking, time is different when you got to get somewhere, especially if everything's new. You're looking at surroundings, seeing what's going on. This guy's pausing at parts. But for the most part, if you guys didn't think you were following a homeless guy through the park, you're following a homeless guy through the park. You don't know where he keeps his place. That's what it is. He's paid $5 to show you where the pigeons live, and he's doing just that. But here's the funky thing. There are no pigeons as you're walking.
Mm-hmm.
Like you would hope that it's weird. It's like you said, where do the pigeons live? He told you in the bean and they're ready to go to sleep. He goes, oh, they're not here. I'll show you where they're at. And he just keeps walking. So when you walk or when you cross that intersection in the middle that you drove down, it was nice and quiet, see park on both sides. You get to one end, hit the light, go across, keep going. He's like, come on, I know it's a bitch, but pigeons, man, Don't listen to anybody. You get over to the other side and you can see that there's a bridgeway where traffic would take you over to the main part of the city and all that water rushing by. And he doesn't take you over there exactly. He points under the bridge. He says, there it is. Nothing but pigeons right there. See, all the heat gets trapped under the bridge from the day, and it comes off because the water doesn't let it absorb. And so it keeps a pocket of heat from all the smog and destruction that we like to do, call ourselves human beings. The only way to stop the destruction is you give me another $5. Put that in here and slows it down. And I'll pad an extra thing down there for you for another pigeon. The pigeons help keep the heat. And then they trap the heat under the bridge, and then that won't damage your ozone layer, man. It'll keep it solid. The more you pay, the more pigeons I can help stay. And that's the thing.
He'll look to Ramsey, and he's like, "Do you want
to?" I'll pay him the $5.
You give him $5, he goes, good. You knew I had a doctorate in pigeonomics. I appreciate that. So
are there even pigeons up there? Or is it just completely...
So if you're not even by the bridge to go under it, but when he gets that extra $5, he's like, outstanding, $10, I'll be right back. He'll empty the cup of coins into his hand. He'll drop the paper cup callously for a guy who just gave you a pitch about the economy and ecosystem or whatever. And he starts going across the bridge, which is funny because you know what's over there. You saw the sign. Some of the pizza places were closed. Starbucks is done, that sort of thing. The Dunkin' Donuts, which is there before you hit the highway or whatever, sign sport is up in that direction. That's where he's headed towards. You'll look at your watch because you guys know what it is. It's like I got maybe 15 minutes at best that this dude's going to go in and maybe get some coffee.
Ramsey, what are we doing here?
Apparently giving a homeless man $10.
Look, we're wasting time now. I thought this guy might actually have some good info, but I think he just might be a crazy pigeon man, right?
He brings out a good point though. Where are all the pigeons here?
Listen.
I would expect
all right.
something to like.
I'm not going to talk to.
Here.
He'll dig
in his
pocket.
Look into the bridge.
Yeah, I'll go look under the bridge you pointed out.
It's, I mean, what is he doing? Rame's like, screw this. And he walks down the ramp to head over to the bridge to see that there's no real decent way to hop down and look, but you're an athletic dead guy. You can handle it.
Yeah.
Now you drop down, kind of hang and look over and see, yeah, there are birds up there. There are birds kind of sitting huddled together to keep warmth and usual coo coo here and there. There are a couple dozen. I won't say all of this park could hold, but definitely this is where some birds stay. You do see though a series of tents under here. It's about 8 to 10 that are holding together. Where no doubt he must live there, maybe with other people even. And they're all there, but these pigeons are all around doing their thing. They don't spare the tent equipment. The poop is real. Goes where it goes, right? That's that. Pigeons don't. Or rather, pigeons give all the shit, right, to everybody else. But you discover it. Maybe he's right. And here's the odd thing: under the bridge, Ramsey, you're literally like, it is a little warmer over here.
Like shit, he's right.
Kind of weird how that truth is working out, though. But all right.
Sully's gonna have like a good 15 feet like distance from Ramsey as he takes a look at him. He's like, Ramsey, come on, man. What are we doing?
Forming an idea. Hey,
Since you are forming an idea, I'm going to interrupt that idea with something your character might notice something. Since you're down here, my fellow scout, former of the Sabbat, you get what's like called a Spidey Sense tingle check that we're going to do. And it's for mischief and mayhem that I want you to know completely on my end. Range is a guy who specializes in being rather alert and on his feet. I need you to roll your wits, and then you're going to take on your investigation. This is because you were checking out this stuff here. You have an idea of animalism, which is why I'm letting you roll. And we want to see what is going on here, and your difficulty assigned is 2.
All right. That's a 5 pull. I gotta double check the dice bot that I added. I'm not gonna have a repeat of last time where I kept fumbling the rolls on live TV, and it is /V. In case you were wondering. So that's 5. I'm sorry. What did you say the diff was?
2.
Oh, and did you? It's still 3 successes if there was extra. Was there a reduction from the pool?
No, not at all.
Okay, good.
Yeah, what you have. What's your spot? And easy for Sullivan not to notice because Sullivan doesn't like paying it. You didn't want to be down here, right? So if you didn't want to be down here not paying attention, you get to look and you see the tents and you see the water. And it's just a natural reaction. You're like, well, where are all the buildings draining to? Wouldn't there be something to show that there? It's a little weird. And what you do is you see why the tents are all there on one side. They're not on the side where the park is, on the other side where the buildings would be. And you don't see them clearly. However, get up a little higher and look, you can see there's a vent gate stopping them from entrance, maybe past a few of the tents that are out there. And you begin to wonder, well, if that gate's there and it looks big enough to walk into, well, there's a whole bunch of high-rise buildings that are back there too. That's pretty interesting to find.
It's like there's a way in under the buildings.
That's a good assumption. I mean, the tents are in the way. It'd be hard to tell. So you know a concrete slant, right? Under a bridge?
Yes.
You know what that looks like connecting up, right? The way this is built is that you'd have runoff, right? The city's designed not to flood, hence why the riverways and whatnot, and keep it going. So if there was heavy rain or what have you, the streets would pour down, it all hits tunnels, and it all comes out. Well, you don't want stuff to cloud up those areas and clunk up and whatnot. So there's a system of aeration that goes on. Probably the wrong term, but drainage is the term. Chicago's notorious for it, having a very smart system built and established for that reason. And one of them is that they do have, well, rather renowned large sewer system that goes to the city. Very hard to get into. It's typically locked out, watched out for, and the upkeep is stellar. So the fact that you see tents here under this bridge and that there is a place that a man could walk up into, it's just the grate in and of itself is blocked currently by 2 tents, in fact, that are placed there. But they're tents. Somebody can put them up, someone can take them down. It's weird to you that you can see over there and note that they try to put tents in the way of it. Because if there was water coming out, you wouldn't want your tent in the way of that, but there it is.
Right. Right. Sally, as you're talking, Ramsey's not even paying attention to you. He's looking at something out there, and he'll point. Why would they block the sewers with tents unless they didn't want people going in? Does that lead like under the park? Does that lead under the buildings, or does that lead like under the park?
It's the building side, not the park
Okay.
side.
That's fucking weird.
Sully will look over to Slappy and he's like, "Are you getting any of this?"
Floppy just shrugs his shoulders with the sledgehammer still in his hand. And he's like, man, I don't know what the fuck we're doing.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I would rather you not use that sledgehammer.
I'm going to
Anything-
tell you now I'd rather not use this fucking sledgehammer.
Good word of mind. If we have to, we might be on the deep end. Just
Look, I'm already in trouble once for being too out there, right? I'm not trying to get strike 2 because I don't think I'll get out of strike 2, right? I don't think there's a strike 3 for Slappy.
don't worry, I got you, Slappy.
I don't know
Ramsey, you doing anything?
Yeah, Dr. Pigeonomics told us the pigeons go into the bean. So how do they get in there? I'm wondering if it's through that. So let's wait for a little friend.
What little friend?
The one that's apparently getting a donut and coffee.
You're waiting for a wandering hobo who you gave money to, spending it right now. What are the chances he's gonna get back? Just get in the fucking tent. God damn.
And he'll shrug, and then I'll go over to the tents blocking the sewers. If you're okay there, Bob.
Sully's just like his hands up against the wall of like.
He's just mentioned Wandering Hobo like it was a magic trick because we made it sound like we were performing the Wandering Hobo. Hoping he comes back. All right, but okay. Despite frustration, Sully, you're over here trying to get Ramsey to get shit or get off the pot, as it said.
Right.
Slappy's just happy he's armed at this point. At least he's got a sledgehammer, if nothing else. But he doesn't know what the hell's going on. What are we doing, Ramsey? You're really going to wait for the guy to come back, which is totally fine. I just need to know your ST so I can help guess
Apparently not. I was trying to take the patient approach, the reasonable approach. But apparently Sully's like, leads are for closers. So I'm just going to walk over to the tents and see if anyone's inside them. First off.
So you have two choices. You can, you definitely can't. Well, you can cross the water, you're dead. Depends on them.
Yeah.
At this point. Mm-hmm. But you can go up there over the bridge, walk over. It's fine. There's a walkway for that, and then walk down again. But why I say that is because as you go up to start walking down and go on the other side again, you indeed see your friend at the top. Right as you're over here checking out, seeing things, what's going on. He went in the way of the Dunkin' Donuts.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like, did somebody stop with donuts and give them to him? Because he definitely has a big box of them, and you can tell he has a gallon of Joe, right? You've seen this, that you can get that for like a party. Like somebody just gave it to him. He has this coffee now, where he's over at the end, and you see him eating a fist of donut, just chomping away, letting it drop off some, getting it in his mouth, and he doesn't have a cup, so he's just sipping, right? It's comical to see it as the end off, like baby bottle sipping the coffee where he has it to put it back on. He's like, yeah, ooh. But it's at the opposite end of the bridge, just hanging out for the moment.
Yeah, I'll walk up to him as I got to pass by him to get to the other side anyway.
But hey, man, I'm getting food, right? It's better I get food than waste it on heroin, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's what I said. He goes back to eating what you could see at closer inspection. Seems to be a plain bagel with maybe an egg. You're not really certain by the smell. you're not particularly concerned what he has in a bag of stuff that someone threw out from a Dunkin' Donuts shift. Obviously, like he made it there in time to catch the throw out, is what you're now assuming is done. But ultimately, you can just hop the rail that's over there, start walking down the slanting over by the tents if that's what you wish. You didn't even stop you.
Uh, I'm not gonna just hop it. I'm gonna talk to him for a little bit. Hey man, looks like you got a nice meal. Tell me, the sewer door back there, why are you blocking it up? Doesn't it like run out through the tents?
You're talking about a sewer door.
There's
That's
like
disgusting.
there's like a door back there behind the tents.
What door back there behind it? A door has a handle. Turn a knob, it opens. People sleep back there. You out of your mind? People sleep in tents. That's why tents are there, because they sleep in those.
Yeah, but you
You
put it right in
know,
front of the sewer door. Great. I think there are tents in front of it. I couldn't see what it was.
isn't this a free country? I mean, it's like tents in front of a grizzly. You're great.
All right, Doctor Pigeon, you're right. It's not my great. I'll hop the fence.
You have to, Prince, and he'll take a sip and spit out real quick. It's coffee black. Is what he shouts out as you hop the crate heading down the slant. You land, he shouts it. You get down below, heading over towards the tent. You're like, okay, cool. And this side you can easily see, yeah, it's a slant for sure. It's not enough to you could stand there. You're not like slipping down or anything.
Hmm.
But obviously they haven't ejected water through here for a long time. There's rust and whatnot that's up there. You can see that. There is a blast of warmth that you can feel here, though, and now it kind of makes sense. Their tents are here to help them survive a freezing, and that's
Mm.
why they're here. They're not blocking off this entrance, though. The tents are here because maybe someone selfishly put them here to get the maximum warmth, right? Like maybe they're just instinctively cold. They're not even certain. But upon you heading over there, what you can see is some wiggling at the tent, and since someone does come out, you can see that he has a bottle that he'll hand back in the inside because there must be somebody in there.
Mm-hmm.
And he has this perplexed look on his face, but rather serious. He just looks up at you. Who the fuck are you?
I'll just kind of look around, just looking for a place to stay or looking at the pigeons.
Place, you're looking for a place to stay. This must be Club Med. This must be that place where people come because they can't afford to sleep nowhere. I thought I had a business endeavor.
So you're like the landlord here, the hotel owner?
You say coffee black. That's you. You looking for coffee?
I didn't see that. That was Dr. Pigeonomics.
Don't be stupid, boy. You came down here. Coffee black was said. So you looking for it.
Yeah, I am. All right, I'll not be stupid.
Come on. He'll make this gesture where he has his hand out. You
Mm-hmm.
can see his, like, the gloveless fingers, right? Whatever, that are covering him. And it's layered. But you'll watch him just take one hand, make a fist, right? Like so. And he'll just slap it in his palm. He does it rapidly twice. Come on.
Is there a roll I can make to figure out what the fuck he wants? Like, am I supposed to pay him?
Let's double check here. This is a legitimate question of streetwise. Maybe this whole thing is less perplexing if we hopefully have that covered.
Uh-huh.
And what I will say here is that we do have a knowledge of it, but unfortunately for you, this knowledge is of a different area. We'll see if we can figure out and crack the code here in the streets. Go ahead and give in an intelligence streetwise. We will let that city knowledge specialty actually work.
Okay. That means that is a 6 pool. What is the diff, sir?
The diff is 3.
Oh. No. Missing 1.
Well, we can succeed at cost. We can use some willpower. What would we like to do?
I'll use willpower. I will use it. And there's a special command that is super awesome that you can just, it's reroll. It's just RR. That's all it is. that's why I got it. So it would be super simple. And yeah, I suck.
So what it is your guy can figure out a lot. You may not know exact, but you get this. You're trying to figure it out. At the bean, this guy approached because you guys were looking around, kind of tapping, sticking out. Did he approach everybody?
No.
And your assumption is yes. Panhandling is everybody.
Mm-hmm.
They don't exclude asking anybody for money when you panhandle. That's the nature of how panhandling works. The first 3,000 people tell you no, it's the other 100 that tell you yes. And that's how they're able to get that income to help them get by and survive. That's just the nature of what it is. You did see homeless folks out and about, but the thing is that they're not, well, your character would know they're targeted in cities like this the closer you get to actual mainstay parks and nice places. They don't want homeless to be seen congregating anywhere, being around there. So it makes sense that this guy was out and about. You paid him. He told you some fast story to pique your curiosity, and you followed him all the way over to where they're at. You just couldn't figure out why and what the big deal is. Now you're trying to put the pieces together. Why the hell were you putting a hole in the beam? This dude was it all set up?
Mm-hmm.
You don't see the relation though, and that doesn't make sense to you. What you do see, why would this event be here? Okay, we get warmth, we get us there. These tents are up here, but that guy screamed out "coffee black" before you came down here.
Right, and that guy heard that. That was some code, something.
Right? And now this guy said "coffee black." He's slapping his hand. It's a drug deal. You're pretty certain this is some sort of a drug deal, right? Like maybe you pay him something and you get whatever "coffee black" means. The part you can't figure out: what person trusts drugs to homeless people to deal out for them?
Yeah, it's fucking weird. I'm not gonna lie. This might be something I want to know. To fuck it, I'll pay him. How much do
How
you
much do you
pay
know?
him? Well,
That is the question.
I happen to have a decent amount of dough from 2 packets that were supposed to be for a bribe. I'll pay him 200. I don't know. One drug, please. That is Brennan's experience with this.
Fair enough, but Ramsey's gonna kind of couch in his hand all nice and folded enough. Go ahead, and you're gonna hand him 200, right?
Mm-hmm.
He'll look at it and goes, right, Mr. Moneybags. 1 second, we get that, Mr. Moneybags, for you. He'll go walking back behind the tent to unlatch something you can hear, and it seems that it's wrapped up, probably on that grate, maybe.
Mm.
And he unties one side, pulls it up to the side, grabs one end of the grate, he'll lift it. Two things shock you. One, for his size. Normal size guy seems to have his health about him. That seems to be a pretty heavy grate for one person to pick up one-handed and just lean back and open it like a screen door. And he does. Why? Because it's a 10-foot screen door of metal that looks somewhat rusted. This should be pretty heavy. It's dead weight. At least grunt something. 2 hands at least. He does it with one after untying the tents, which means the tents would obscure your view of it. Now he just full on opens it. Once he gets it up and out to the side, he goes, "Your coffee awaits."
Yeah, I'll go.
Looking into it, you'll see that there is obviously a walkway that you walk in. You can see that the grating is the only light source for a minute until you get inside. He lets it shut and then goes to tie the tent back where it is. And you don't feel panicked. You're just like, okay, he's just covering it back up. He's got his money, whatever. It's at that point that when that grate slams down, you'll hear someone just in the dark. They'll be like, "What'd you need, man?"
There's I gotta have to do a little weird thing concerning the bean. Hold on, we're in the dark.
You're standing where the only light source comes from outside,
Uh-huh.
right? Just the ambient light from the city and night. And that's coming in through the grate. You can't see who asked this. Now, you know that there's water that's down here, enough to be rushing by. Seems to be going east-west, must be where the water flow goes, is your assumption. And it's not enough to be anyone standing in ankle deep, so you didn't hear him walk up, or whoever this is. Could be they just sit in here. But all you heard was that question. Now you know that person's ahead, but they know enough. You know you have stealth to know enough where you would stand. That would be the most pain in the ass place. You have the light at your back pouring in.
Mm-hmm.
They're standing where the light is actually screwing up your vision to see beyond it.
Okay. So, Eyes of the Beast actually wouldn't help because of the lighting here.
It
Oh,
would help with the outside lighting. Maybe you can adapt, but the simple fact is, still having a light in your face, whoever that is, if they don't want to be seen, or maybe that's.
okay, I got it.
And it depends. There's a bunch of mortals doing some stuff. You can do whatever, maybe freak them out. I'm leaving it up to you, in other words. It's definitely not a means to say that no, you can't. I'm just simply saying that's the environment you're in right now.
Hmm. Um. Well, I was about to ask if I could use Sense the Beast because this sounds like a little freaky. But if I can't actually see him, I don't think that wouldn't even apply, right? Um. Fuck it. I will use Eyes of the Beast. Maybe that'll intimidate them. Maybe it'll let whoever's on the other side, if they're like me, know, like, hey, there's another predator here, or it's not immortal. If they didn't already know that.
I guess the question is why are you here? On one end, if you're playing D&D trying to figure
Yeah.
this out, you're wasting your time. I'm going to tell you that right now. It's most
Mm-hmm.
players' folly to go, the storyteller's showing me it must go deeper. I must figure this out. Sometimes, right, you're the one who pursued this,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're the one kind of dictating where you're going with this as Ramsey. So I want to put you at ease as a player. No one's ambushing you. No one sets you up to die. This isn't a bomb. What I'm saying is why is Ramsey now keyed up? Because you paid a homeless person $200, a price that you decided was the cost,
Mm-hmm.
to get whatever it is you're going to get. And what they said was, here's the great, walk in, and some voice you can't see just asks you what you want. Now, why I state this? Because understand what's on the table. You just got done being in a scene at the beginning of the night, talking to someone who told you with a promise of finality, violate the masquerade, they will kill you. And they
Yeah.
didn't seem to care about a prince
Mm-hmm.
waiting for that edict. So, what I would say is, let's think outside of the box a bit. What does Ramsey carry with him?
Ramsey, usually like a knife or a gun if he has one.
Now, if he's feeling threatened, those work.
Mm-hmm.
Would
Oh,
you, canine, be threatened by what appears to be mortals?
no.
Okay. But you want to see. You feel uncomfortable not being able to see, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Couple ways to handle that. Now, some logical ways are you could simply step into the light and continue the conversation and get that person to maybe step into the light. Another one could be you could try to talk them into stepping into the light. These are alternatives before we pull that old beast trigger, because here's the truth. If you do that, and I leave it up to you,
Yeah, that could be seen as a challenge or like a number of ways that could be negative. I will simply act like the human, like a person that with hunger zero, I'm a little bit closer to my human nature than the beast nature anyway. So he'll step into that light and continue talking.
okay. Now, here's the truth about you stepping in the light, being nonchalant. Obviously, your character's nervous. You're nervous because you
Mm-hmm.
can't see them. And you're wondering what this is all about. Getting into the light and kneeling down allows more of that light to spill through. You can see the outline of a humanoid figure this close, just standing along the back wall. Doesn't say anything, and you notice they're holding a tablet. There isn't a glowing ambient light. You wonder what that's about, but a thumb can take care of an LED glow easily if
Mm-hmm.
that's on some sort of power indicator. You're aware of that, but this is very cautious for whatever setup this is. How does Ramsey want to approach it or continue? You certainly can attack them if that's what your goal is.
No, I don't see a reason. It's useless right now. Um, there's a there's a guy that does rounds into the park apparently on a somewhat regular basis. Italian guy likes to will go up to the bean, apparently take something out of it or check something in there, but there's no hole on it, right? No one's talking about some rando that comes in and drills a hole into the bean.
Look, man, what you want?
What are you offering? You selling
Man, get the
info? Or you
fuck out of
selling
here.
things?
Man, take your ass out of here. You know what this is. I ain't got time for this.
I'll flash him some cash. Another
Man,
200.
I got your money. I need your fucking money right now. Right? You pay to be in here. You tell me what you want. You don't know why we're here. You don't know what this is. So go step. Get your ass on. Come back when you know something.
Hmm.
Now, at this point, whatever you like to do is fine, but I encourage you to check to see what your character might know that
Mhm.
Ramsey or that you don't know.
I was just looking at the sheet, about to ask you if I can make a roll. Is there like I was gonna say streetwise, but perhaps maybe subterfuge would be a better one to see if I could get him to well, to salvage this and see if there's some deal that can be made, whatever he's selling. Regardless, it sounds like this guy could be a good contact, right? Or there's a
It's actually
possibility.
wits etiquette that you're looking to do.
Oh yeah.
You're trying to salvage a situation like this. You're not trying any verbal trickery. You're not trying to speed talk him. You've offended him.
Uh-huh.
Right? You've offended who this is, and you stepped in it, as they say.
All
The
right.
goal is how do I get out of this and do exactly what you said to salvage it? Simple enough. However, because your streetwise is high enough, I'm going to give you a 2 die bonus
Okay.
based on where it is, and I'm still going to leave it at a difficulty of 3.
Okay. Difficulty of 3. Is that countering in the fact that he has 0 etiquette?
At that point, forget about the die bonus. You're rolling flat as is.
Okay, and you said wits with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Difficulty 3, hunger 0. Still, I should have asked for freaking physical intensity, I think is what it's called in this, but it's too late for that. Can I willpower this one?
You can willpower, you can succeed at a cost. Which one do you think is going to get it done?
It's succeed at a cost, honestly. I think that makes it a little bit better.
What happens is you'll see that, Ramsey goes to the logic that it's the only thing he understands.
Mhm.
He's got this money. We know this is about money something. Your knowledge tells us it's something to do with you get something for giving something, but you obviously had to know where this is. And so you start blathering. And it's not it's all you can do. You're like, look, man, I fucked up. I get it. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what this is. I didn't know. I stumbled on some guy in a park, some situation. I had to do a thing with a weird thing with some freaking bean. I don't know what's going on. It's a tough night. Blah blah blah. But I got 1, 2, $400 more that says whatever you have, I'll get something for this, and I'll get out of your hair. That's what do you say? And it's dead quiet, and you'll see that LED light go green as the screen goes from sleep mode and gets on. Look, man, we got stuff. That's what we have. You got 400. That sounds about right. You need a TV. How big? Maybe we got it. You need in a car that we happen to know that's laying around somewhere. We might have that. You want something that's more luxurious? You go to that place and get it. But you bring it back, we'll trade you something fair. You want to know where to go to score some smack? We got that. You pay for it. You want to know where? Look, man, I got something in these tunnels, or I got something I could direct you to. That's what I got. That's what we do.
Gotcha. Shit. Well, now I know what that is, and now I can't think of anything to fucking ask him. Or I just say that it'll be wasting his time. I want to. No. Actually.
If you're having difficulty, Bernie, you can just tell me what you're trying to get Ramsey to get out of game, and then we'll figure out how Ramsey would say
So,
that.
what I'll do is, well, Ramsey's a thief, right? If he's can give information for this, some place where I can get a good, decent amount of swag, and probably someone to sell it to.
So you're looking for a place to sell swag? This would be a place to sell some
This would
stuff
be
that
it.
you
All right,
sell.
then. Does he have a? Well, he was talking about pointing out like luxury
Brennan
cars.
seems ignorant to where he is and what this is.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to help you out. What this appears to be is a homeless syndicate of thieves, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's because you didn't exactly care to know exactly what that is.
Mm-hmm.
But it might be that. you get the impression maybe these guys get together, and if they happen to stole something all week or they have something nice, those who know to come seek them here get led here, come in here, and they make some unknown payment to figure it out. You still don't know what coffee black is, but you used to be a thief.
Mm-hmm.
It's different homeless. They got more things they got to do and more sophisticated, but you had your own code words for shit. This is the same thing, but you guys absolutely wouldn't deal with people who didn't know the lingo, which explains the hostility, which explains why you're sitting in a place where you can't exactly see them. However, he could eyes of the beast of now, but you absolutely know doing that might panic this guy.
Yeah, and that's not what I want. That's not what I want with this. So intention for Ramsey, I want to. We need a way to. I want to keep this contact here. Maybe have this be someone I can sell shit to in the future. Right? I came here for one side of the transaction. I really want to be on the other side next time.
All right. So what I heard you say is that you want Ramsey to make. I want these guys in my clutches. I want them to work for me. I want to be the guy who gets the stuff that has the thing that does all the secret stuff.
Not really. I just want I just want some like contact or ally connection out of this. Basically, someone I can work with. I don't. I'm not trying to be an evil genius, world domination with a homeless crime syndicate.
Yeah, but help me out. The functionality of this being a contact or connection, you want someone to go to offload stuff to that you don't even steal actively? Right, you would have to be an active thief as Ramsey to be able to get this to work, is what I'm pointing out to you. Ramsey's so far been a Sabat scout that sneaks around and uses his stuff to get into houses to kill people. Now we're going to upgrade and we're assaulting Best Buys. These homeless guys are a new into that avenue you wanted to do. By all means, it's Chicago. You're bored. You're not even Sabat anymore. You might as well pick a career. But I'm leaving that up to you. But I'm trying to see, you tell me how these guys are going to function for you. And let's make sure we can get Ramsey set up for best.
Mm-hmm. Nah, you pointed out a couple of things. Yeah, him being a Sorry, I'll just answer the question you asked rather than me rambling still. I want it to be these are how guys I can contact to like procure things, right? I don't think we're gonna need TVs, but it might come a time where hey, I need a gun, right? Or hey, I need this particular thing that's hard to find. This is a new avenue for him.
So I want to make sure that we understand what has occurred. Remember, I told you, you sought this and bumped into this and followed this to the hill, right? And you did. And these are some guys you can sell stuff to, but don't get the impression that these guys get a hold of This is not an outfit that your character would have established with super skills and like other thieves in the night to have. This is what homeless folk can get a hold of and get away with. Whatever that is, right? Whether they snatch some hot dog buns off a truck to occasionally some guy gets caught sleeping while he's on break at a lunch stop and they can maybe get away with something. So on and so forth. Went to an auction block and they did a thing or two. In other words, it's real obscure. Now, you know of this. I have no problem you putting down there a contact of one I'll happily give you in case they might have something, but there is no phone number for these guys. You would come here to figure this out, to arrange a deal and go through this process all again. Right? But this depends on whether or not your character can make what we call an emotive reason as to why they would want to deal with you again. Now, I'll make an agreement with you. You buy that etiquette of one, you get XP spending on etiquette to know how to correctly approach stuff and get yourself out of it. I'll count that as payment for the contact of one that you're trying to net here with these guys. And it's simply, you could call them whatever you want, but it's we'll just call them Millennium Park homeless. I'm not saying they're insignificant. I'm not saying they mean the world, and definitely there is a plot reason. It's just your guy is not certain what that could mean at the moment. But this is a start.
Okay.
It begins here.
I will make that deal with you.
Okay. So while he's taking that time and you guys see him walk across and hop down the yellow coffee black and go in, there is nothing going on where you're at. People in the park, someone walks a dog going through, and you'll eventually, because it's everywhere, you'll see a jogger come through, more spurting, real buff guy, takes real good care of himself, you can tell. That's why he has that soda he's running with. I don't know if you've seen this phenomenon where you'll see joggers having real hardcore working out folks will have a sugar content fast, something that they're downing as they go, for whatever reason, whether it's an energy boost or whatever. That may not even be soda in there. unless you're going to drug test them. But the point is, that's it. That's the only people that are looking at you as you go by. And you feel real silly because you saw him go down over there. It's an eccentric homeless person opens up the grate, lets it go back down, thing shuts, and you're out here. And yeah, it's about 10 minutes that you guys have time to kill. And it's 10 minutes is nothing for you to stand around and deal with. But in that time, you can do anything. You're just going to be like, okay, well, here we are.
You look over at Slappy and be like, what's he doing out there?
Man, do we ever know what he's doing? We just sent him off himself, went into a fucking grate, and we ain't seen him since. Who knows what the fuck he's doing in there? This is the guy who cut off a man's head with a laundromat machine.
Oh, yeah, keep it low, keep it low. All right, look. He'll dig in his wallet and he'll pull out like $40, like $220s, and he'll hand it over to Slappy. He's like, listen, you need to talk to that wandering hobo. Because he's within our view, right? Because we heard him yell out. All right. He's like, talk to that hobo. Find out where those pigeons go. If he could spill anything regarding how to get what's inside that friggin' bean, all the better. I would do it, but I'm going to tell you right now, if I do it, I'm going to blow up on him. At least you still have a smile on your face. Little one, but still better than mine. And he'll hand them the money. I'll take the... Oh, do you want me to hold the sledgehammer, or do you think that's too intimidating?
Slappy will trade over the sledgehammer and grab the 2 crisp 20s. He'll be like, hang on to this. I'll see what I can do.
All right. And Sully grabs onto the sledgehammer, but he's not as comfortable with it as you might be. So he just leans on it.
All right. So what's the approach, Slappy? You're just going to say, hey, how's it going? How's your life?
Slappy's going to walk over and he's going to have the 20s like gripped in his hand, like in a way where like you can see like the top of it. Like he doesn't care about holding it. He's just going to walk over and he's like, man, you said pigeons got in there through magic. $40 says you know how they actually get in that bean.
Well, man, I'm telling you, it's magic. It's to call it the magic bean. Listen, you got to know pigeonomics. For $40, I could teach you.
Man, how long this class gonna take? $40.
Pigeonomics, man. It's real quick.
Slappy like looks over behind his back at Sully, and then he looks back at the man and he passes him the 40. He's like, real quick, teach me pigeonomics.
All right, man. Number 1, you got to go under there and catch you a pigeon. Step 1. Can't catch a pigeon, you can't figure them out, right? You got to hold them in your hand and feel the flow of how a pigeon resonates with the bridge.
Like now, you want me to go catch a pigeon?
Yeah, man, it's real easy. You just gonna go down under the bridge and like somehow you're gonna get up there to get you a pigeon. I do it, but I'm eating, Got this coffee to finish. And you want some coffee? I don't want to hog it all. I mean, it's like a gallon. It's ridiculous even for me. It's cold, but it'll do the trick.
You seem like you need it more than me. I'm wide awake.
Yeah, it's a kind of an asshole statement, but I got $40 more than you.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna go get that pigeon.
Yeah, I get it. Don't worry, I'll watch it. It's real simple. You want to cup your hands, right? You want to cup them when you get to the pigeon. You don't want to over grab them. They got that enhanced eye technology, like a spider. That's how they notice things. Predators can't ambush them; they do the ambushing. So don't make them skittish.
Man, where'd you learn pigeonomics from?
Bro, I live in the park.
And fuck. And like Slappy turns and heads back to the bridge. And he's just looking at Sully, like biting his lip. He's like,
what happened?
And he's looking at you as he's walking under the bridge, is what it is. Going down the slant. What the?
And yeah, Slappy's gonna this far. It's not my $40. I'm gonna try and catch a pigeon.
All right. I mean, this is a test of every aspiring Cainite of the Church of Cain to show that power. We can't break the masquerade, but damn if these pigeons aren't going to learn today. That's what they say, right? So, Slappy, I just want you to know if your sire Cornelius could see you now, right? Go ahead and give me a just a dex function. But I'm gonna let you go ahead and include. Well, it's a pigeon, my friend, and you are athletically inclined. Do your dex athletics. Unless you're activating anything, let me know if you are. As is, you're just gonna do what anybody else would do, and that is make a good run for it.
What's the difficulty?
Snatch and grab. A difficulty to just snatch a pigeon up off the ground. Actually, for your kindred, we're gonna put it at 2. So not easy. It takes you a second, right? As you approach to get the pigeon, you'll see it coo a little bit. You know, "Ooh." Do one of those as they all notice that you're coming up to get towards them or whatever. And for the most part, eerily, they don't move. But they have their own sense of attitude. Like you should throw bread at this point, almost like it's deific. You should do something for the pigeon. And it's the folly of that pigeon. As you suddenly got you, bird, and you jump out and cup it and grab it, you'll be damned if it doesn't work like you said. Cupped it from both sides. This pigeon hopped all too late to get out of the grasp of slapping. Your fine instrument hands have a pigeon that you have to hold firm that's trying to flap, and it beats you once or twice uselessly on the hand, and it's firm and it holds still, but you can feel that tension that it'll any chance it'll explode out, go places.
Slappy's like,
go ahead.
oh, I was just saying, Slappy's like holding the pigeon, and he like looks up at Sully. He's like, money well spent before heading back to the guy.
But you can hear that guy's, you did it. All right, I told you that's step 1. Pigeonomics isn't done though. We got to go back to the beam. You want to know how they get in? I'm going to show you all about it.
Now you're talking. Let's take this bird back to the bean and show me some pigeonomics, my friend.
Hey, wait a second. You going to stay with your friend when we do the pigeon lesson?
Oh,
I mean, yeah, you mind if my friend comes along?
No, what I'm saying is that you get your buddy in there getting whatever he's getting. You know, it's always a.
Oh no, just let him do his thing. He's getting his shit. I'm learning pigeonomics, right? So.
All right, we'll be back, I guess, and you guys will start walking through the park. Now, Sullivan, this is up to you. Are you going to wait for Ramsey to get out to tell him that pigeonomics is in session, or are you going to?
He'll wait for Ramsey. He can't afford not to have Ramsey in the sights, so he'll wait it out.
All right. So since they're walking across to do what they do, Ramsey, you make an understanding how that scene's truncated out is as you talk to the guy. He lets you know that you can come down here and see what we have is what he has, and if he can help you, there it is. You'll get the item. Always going to be cheaper than what you're going to find at retail anywhere, and he doesn't believe in shortchanging anyone. But the moment the police come here to break it up and we think it's you who did it, you'll never see us again. No deals ever. And that's that. He doesn't threaten you, and that's how you know he's a good thief. It ain't about scaring off someone who can bring him money. Right. The way this deal works is you bring him items, and then he'll give you items and trade. You know, a real barter system, but he's not in the business of giving you cash for stuff you bring back. Right. Info or items is what he does. He's trying to get cash. However, that tablet, and as you get close enough to see finally, even with the dark off the tablet, he's not dressed as a homeless person. You can see he has a decent street clothes, nothing off the rack, but maybe middle lifestyle, if that, off of what he does. And it could be because he's in clothes that not his usual dress. He definitely gives you the impression of someone who maybe does something more important than this. This is just the beginning while he's out and about, obviously doing a shift maybe, but not entirely know what's up. But this close, even he can't hide from you the fact that, yeah, he uses the tunnels. From here, there's obvious access to some other room that might have the merchandise of the night, or maybe this guy just knows these tunnels well enough that this is the side that they're in for the moment. But you get the idea. Terms are agreed to, and it's nothing for you to get back out.
Word.
He teaches you the knock system. And what it is, if there's nobody at that door and there's no tents on it, it's 6 knocks. That's it, because no one's going to knock on a thick-ass grate 6 times for any reason. But if you do it exactly 6, someone will come eventually to say what's what. Sometimes it's immediate, other times it's going to be maybe upwards of 10 minutes. It depends. They come from above, some will be in the tunnel. You never know.
Word.
But I see you. I saw you coming in. I'll put the word out. And it's that simple. and he lets it go. You can tell he doesn't use phones because that's smart, because you'd have to come down here to figure it out.
Mhm.
But at the same time, Ramsey, you give him the heebie-jeebies. That close. You can tell because he stands away from you, like leaning back constantly. Makes sense. But you're good to go. You get let out, they let you mind your thing, no big deal. But seeing Sully standing up there and Sully just shaking his head as he's staring off into the park, still, right? Sully, it's been about 5 minutes, right? And
Right.
since he continued on. But Ramsey will come walking up the slant, and from that side of the bridge on over, you have no problem meeting up.
So what you got?
Where's a new friend, I think. Um Where's Slappy?
He's off doing what we're supposed to do. I gave him $40 to give to that wandering hobo to figure out how to get inside the bean itself. He then proceeded to walk over to the other side of the bridge and catch a pigeon, and both of them are heading off to the bean right now. So, you ready to make the trek?
Well, yeah, we can't just leave him alone, you know. But I appreciate you waiting, Sully.
Jim looks so pained when he did that. We can't leave him alone. Okay.
He'll walk with a sledgehammer.
If it's not made apparent, it's possible, just maybe, Ramsey might have some developing codependency issues.
Did you just? It's not apparent. I have problems being alone. All right. You get back over to the beam, right? This is not hard for you to do. But while you're there, you'll see that the hobo is just as we'll derogatorily call, they're sorry, homeless person. Don't want to offend anybody here. We'll get back there with you. We'll call Dr. Pigeon his proper name. Gets to the bean. You see him sit down for a minute, kind of stretch his legs out. He's doing a lot of walking tonight. That coffee, helps out. But oof, old bones. You know what they say. If these streets could talk, a lot of happy women, if you know what I mean. Glad that I didn't stick around longer than it took to donate money and sandwiches. But a guy can dream. You know what's good about sandwiches?
Man, we here to talk pigeons or sandwiches?
Man, I love. It's like bread. That's all I was gonna say. All right. Look, if you want to know how the pigeon gets in, the first thing you have to do is you kind of got to knock it on the head on the side of the bean a little bit. Got to confuse the pigeon, make it think it's flying away. You got to knock it senseless. It's a quick tap, just bink. That's a start.
Man, that's fucked up. Slappy's like walking over to the bean.
There you go. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about if it's messed up or not. Hey, it's a solid metal bean. How do you think pigeons get in?
That's the question, right?
No problem. What I need you to do at this point, this close to the bean, as he's there, he's telling you, you hitting the head of the pigeon on the bean.
Yep, trying to as soft as I can.
You're trying to be gentle is the whole point, Slappy. And for a guy like you, even at this point, vampire and I, it still feel pretty messed up. We're gonna give you one stain. This is like, it's gentle. You're like, dang God, I'm gonna have to. This pigeon, you kind of feel bad at this point, right? It's what this is. It's just a conscience thing. It's not like an actual humanity loss. What we're doing is I don't want to ding you willpower either. I want this to be an emotional drain your character's feeling now at this point, right? Because you're role playing that in and of itself. But the guy look at you and go flat out, here's where we're at. I need you to take the pigeon, and with confidence now, you have to breathe in deep and Hadouken the pigeon through the bean. You gotta shove the pigeon through.
You want me to just push the pigeon into the bean?
Yeah, man, like that Street Fighter. You're gonna breathe in, you're gonna pull the pigeon back, and Hadouken right through. And you're gonna say Hadouken and push it.
Man, that's just gonna squish the pigeon.
But it's not gonna. It depends. It's magic, man. I'm giving you pigeonomics. You either do the pigeonomics or you don't. but you're $40. But that's the way you get it into the bean. And here, if you think it's going to hurt the pigeon, did you see any pigeon blood or feathers anywhere? It's not even pigeon poop on the magic bean, man.
Brother, if I just paid you $40 for you to teach me how to smash a pigeon, I'm going to be real mad.
He'll start doing this where he's just like, come on, gotta believe. Gotta believe.
Slappy will walk. God damn it. Slappy will like walk over to the bean like in disbelief. Like, is he actually going to do this? Like, is this real? And he'll fucking take the dazed pigeon and he'll follow instructions and he'll say, Hadouken!
You're Hadouken, and you shove it, and you are shocked as shit. As I need you to give me a resolve plus composure roll before we let you know that result real quick.
What's the diff?
The diff is 2. Yeah, you handle it very well, but it's not what you think. Like the pigeon goes into the beam. You're like, Hadouken, and you shove it, and it's what the okay. And your hands hit a cold bean, and it feels weird, like you're touching the outside of like an ice block, is what it feels like to you. However, it's what's staring in your reflection where that guy's standing at. That's what bothers you the most. You're looking at it with a dumbfound look on your face as he sort of, if you can even count that as a grin, right? And just staring back at you in this park, and you're uncertain how to react to it, but you know that you swallow the fear that you feel instantly. This thing, Dr. Pigeon, as you look at the reflection here after the pigeon went through, he's like, isn't that a trip? It'll put a taloned hand in your shoulders and makes you want to disappear, not be here at all. He goes, the funny thing is, this entire time I've been out here, all I've been waiting for was the park to thin a little bit, get one of you alone, get a little snack on. The pigeon is gone, but you're next. Go ahead and give me a initiative roll as that guy with his hand in his shoulders. As you turn to look and you see the reflection, you begin to realize that it is a reflection of him, but it's not like he's normal at all. He has somehow changed. Rather sizable. I'd say he's about double the size of Slappy, although still lanky, like he's diseased bird. I'm not real certain what that's about. But the game is afoot, as they say. And I tell you what, I said initially, I forgot what game I was playing. It's my fault. This is V5. He is very much hubris filled, very arrogant, does not fear you in the slightest. And therefore, you can do something first, although you're pretty certain that Maw isn't going to just talk to you all night.
Yeah, no. I'm a turn around and be like, just like quickly turn my head, like, snack on this motherfucker, and dread gaze him.
I like your gumption. Go ahead and give it a go.
Let me.
We're
roll.
such an 80s crowd here. It's like, this is battery acid, and now you disappear. I applaud this behavior.
Okay.
You do what you have to do, yeah?
Yep. 1 sec. Making sure I got the right roll.
Take your time, man. It's very natural. One should swim to understand what they're swimming through.
Just made the roll. 5
Yeah, it was
successes.
me dancing around in my head.
Oh, okay, cool. I just want to make sure you weren't waiting on me.
What occurs is that as you do that, it's weird to hear this thing. in a voice you can understand. You hear him like, "Oh shit!" Right? You do that, and he's like, "Oh," and he takes off. But you watch him as his hand was on your shoulder, rips a chunk out of it to shove you into the beam. Is what it does. Is your character will take 4 sustained, has really no choice in it due to the strength and size. It snaps your shoulder like it's a matchstick in your hand, Grenoble. You would just click. That's it. And you have no doubt he would have done something to you. But the speed he tears off at, you can't comprehend it. It's nothing that big should be that fast. And if anyone's seen a primal cat move, just it's a burst of speed clattering the ground as it's getting away from that which terrified it. Also, it's the problem of the wetness. There is a streamy mist that kind of shoots behind him and kind of hits the bean and sprays back on you and in the area. It's pungent. As you were left there. For you guys walking up, you do see something in the distance tear off into the park that looks from where you guys are at, about a quarter mile off, like a big dog. Like a sizable dog tears off into the underbrush nonstop with a baying noise. For Ramsey, that familiar tone, at least, and behavior, it's survival. Something is fleeing to reassess its situation. Something scared it off. The fact that it's at the beam, you guys pick up speed, I'm assuming, naturally.
Yes.
Or are you just going to chill? Okay. What exactly are you doing, Slappy? You've been misted with well, it's urine of some type, kind of a white, foamy, pissy smell that is kind of all over the place. As you guys are running up, and he looks like it's a scene out of Ghostbusters, like Slimer got him. The difference is that I mean, like that scene, not that he's coated in slime. He definitely has been hit somewhat, as it's a scent, but most of it's on the side of the beam. And the thing is, where it hit, it's rusting it. That mirror look is being pitted. It looks like it's slowly aging. Oh, well, rapidly aging, I guess is the term, where that liquid hit. As for Slappy, you could see his arm is ruined. His shoulder's like broken and at its side. And he has a look of not terror, but I would say consternation, like not knowing why did that, like trying to get himself around what just occurred. His fangs are out. His beast has asserted dominance, and granted, dread gaze, you can feel that aura of just get away from me is out, which makes it feel that he's hostile as you guys are approaching. Enough to get you to kind of draw caution and make sure he's not frenzied.
Sully will be like, whoa, what happened? And he'll kind of also use his free hand. One hand's dragging the sledgehammer as best as possible. The other one's looking at Slappy and just kind of like masking his mouth. Be like, your mouth, man. What happened?
Slappy like takes like he's like breathing, right? Like even like not breathing, but like just going through the motions of trying to reel it back in after like that horror. And he's like brings his fangs back in, and he like looks at Sully and he's like holding his arm. He's like, Dr. Pigeon ain't Dr. Pigeon.
What is he? And he'll drag the sledgehammer closer to him, towards Slappy anyway. And he'll take a quick look around. And he's like, Ramsey, do you see anything?
No, I saw it run, but it's not coming back.
You sure it's not coming back?
Not right now.
He'll walk up to Slappy and just kind of like help. If he can, he's going to use his body to kind of shield him.
Ramsey will take off that outer jacket of his and like kind of put it on his shoulders, his being Slappy, to try to hide the mangled arm.
What I'll tell you is Ramsey's going to give you an idea around here, at least an idea roll. I think that's fair.
Okay.
Feeling the player may not notice it. Your character is a hope and hell nonetheless. So Ramsey's going to give me intelligence, which is his strong suit. And what we're going to do is animal kin.
See, folks, that's a joke because it's not. What's the target, sir?
If it's 2.
Hey.
All right. You originally said that, there's no threat. It's not going to be coming back. You said that plain. The problem is you're looking at the fact that if it was afraid from here, drug him out here, right? And we know that. You're trying to put 2 and 2 together. It ran off, and it'd be fine if something bigger than it wounded it and had asserted dominance. but it didn't. Getting here, you've experienced this before. Yes, the beast has a way to let itself manifest in certain canines, and it's a great shield at first. However, that won't last. I mean, you never know how long it's going to be. You guys have a few moments to get your shit together, but ultimately, sticking around, well, that's going to be met with reprisal. And if that thing was a predatory animal, that means it's a call to challenge was issued, is what just happened.
Yeah. Okay. Shit. I don't suppose he made a hole in the bean that I can see when he was shoved up against it.
Ironically, when you're looking at it, he was pushed to the ground. There are claw marks in the metal, and you could see that you were never putting a hole in this beam. It must be. You're not certain of the architecture. It is layers of metal that have somehow been hyper polished to look this way. That's the draw of the beam. It's called the magic bean or windowed cloud, as some call it, the name of the sculpture. And why that is because they took metal, made it this shiny, and put it out here. They didn't treat it. They didn't put any special chemical. It's just a real polished metal surface.
Yeah.
That obviously works to a mirrored effect. And that's what the draw of the pieces are, at least from the where your character's seeing it. I'll let you know, no doubt, more was put into it than that. But how solid it is, quite. And still, you can see the claw marks in the metal that left the shavings peeled by a good 1.5 feet as it tore off from the beam, and it did that easily. That's a passing thing to get out of here. Also, it's the wingspan of the one hand. What you thought was a dog in the distance and a large one, you begin to doubt that this close, considering the damage done to his shoulder and the width of the claw marks.
Okay. I'm still telling them no, it's fine. It's not coming after us. But I am also pushing them back to where we were, where our cars parked. Like, no, it's fine. It's fine. Follow me.
Unless you guys are stopping him.
No. Kill just look at it's like what you gotta what all right, we gotta figure out what happened here. You might want to take care of that arm.
Yeah. I want to take care of the arm. We got to get the fuck out of here.
All right.
That creature wasn't no ordinary homeless man. I shoved a pigeon into the bean, and then he freaked out.
You guys will hear that there's a baying howl in the distance, and it'll peak up as you're about can't see the bean anymore. You've crossed the streets. You're heading down. It's 4.5 blocks you've crossed. You can see the parking complex right in front of you. Actually, as you're getting there, you'll hear this howl, but somehow where you're at, you can also hear a shout. Black coffee! Where you going? Black coffee! This real insane high-pitched screaming that's far off, so loud that there are people out here looking in the direction of the park. What the fuck is going on? Like that it's being shouted at, but someone's running in the vast distance, coming towards you, shouting this, and you don't know what the hell that's about either. But putting 2 and 2 together, you don't feel it's probably a good night to find out.
No.
Nope. Definitely not. Something to hightail it.
Yes, no, we're running.
We're
going.
Was like,
yeah,
we're looking something up.
No, we're running.
Okay. It's not running far. You guys get in, elevator is fastest to the 3rd floor where you park. You get up there, you get in the vehicle. It's tense to drive all the way down to get to where you're at. And when you get to the flow of traffic, you just go with it. Driving, no muss, no fuss. Looking around, you do see that those guys, that not looking like you did at the bean for Slappy's edification, are looking where you guys went to. But it's creepy to you that somehow they're following that you took over here. You know what I mean? You can tell people where to get to somewhere in the city and give them a grid. No one person is going to take the same path. Some people think it's easier to go one direction. Some cross the street, some don't. Some stay on the right side, some stay on the left. This is eerie. They walk the exact same side and the exact same path you guys took to get to the complex. So as your car's pulling out, it's not a shock to you to see them walk in and dive in just where you guys did, where you ran up the ramp halfway before cutting across to the lobby. No doubt they're going to get in and no doubt take that elevator as if they know where you're at or maybe think they could catch you. But they didn't see you as you're driving away in the city.
Yep. Peeling back.
Go ahead.
I guess we're heading back to Sully's place. Just white knuckled, just keep driving.
It's not hard. Once you get in the city and you hit the highway, because you're smart, right? You're going to get up there, take that kind of many exits between that and whatever. I would say taking it all the way, not only out of the loop, but maybe act like you're going towards suburb, double back, the whole nine, just what's comfortable. Drive till you're at ease. You'll be able to put two and two together, right? Driving around, because the smell of this guy is strong in the car. You can really get that. It's really pungent. And you're going to have to do something with that maybe at a later date. But if you guys are just going to go into Sully's, it's no problem. You get there without difficulty.
They're tracking that scent, that mark,
What mark?
with it being so strong. Him. You said he reeks of that, well, urine, right? Is that what you said, Bob?
Yep.
Yeah. They're tracking that scent.
You're saying you're in my car and you got pissed on?
Man, don't you ever fucking come at me like that after I got pissed on.
All right, I just wanted. All right, no problem. I just trying to make sure I know what's happening here. We got to roll down a window or two.
Man, I don't know what happened. For real. I'm going to lay it out real. And I mean, I'm going to try to rouse for healing while I'm doing this too, like to get my arm.
Go ahead and rouse. Do your thing. And you go till you don't, you know how rouses work to make you hungry as you heal and go along. But feel free to continue RP as you throw those stats up.
Look, I did what you said. I followed Dr. Pigeon. I did his whole kit and caboodle. I grabbed that pigeon and somehow I managed to shove it into that bean given his instructions. But that wasn't Dr. Pigeon, right? Something I saw was much worse. Might call it, I don't know, like a Nosferatu, but not. Because Nosferatus don't spray piss on you. You dig?
Okay.
And he said he was going to eat me. And so me being the badass motherfucker that I am, I scared him away. And I said, not Slappy, not me, not my blood. And that's where we're at now.
All right. Heal up. I have a jacket or two you could borrow. I don't know if you'll fit into any of my clothes, but we'll make sure you. And we got to get rid of this stuff. Just, I'm gonna go take care of this. I'm gonna burn it. I would almost give it to Ramsey, but then I'm afraid that he's gonna leave another head. I'll take care of this. And he'll go to collect your clothes. He's like, I gotta get rid of this punchy stuff.
Are you stripping him naked in the car, or did we make it to your apartment?
I'm assuming we probably made it to my apartment at this moment. Yeah, and he'll take the clothes and he'll get prepared to bring it to the backyard and or douse it or get rid of it somehow.
And as we're cleaning up, we're going to put an end to this game session. So it comes to the close here, the last 10 minutes here of a very rousing. What the hell in Chicago? This is what we have going on. What did occur here? I would remind someone in particular who had a conversation with
Yes, I did.
someone.
I remember that vividly. I'm probably going to talk to her. The only reason I've not said anything right now is that guy's freaking out. And if something happened that traumatized that Primogen, I don't know if I just want to bring it up while he's still, heated.
Well, what I'm saying is the area you're in particular, this is not far from the stomping grounds that she had at all.
Mm-hmm.
And you had told her this is a problem for you, but that's on you. I'm not getting into that. I don't have that, whatever. Played it off. Now that's something for you to reveal to the group later on. But again, I know you guys know you heard him talk about it.
Yeah.
Opportunity. Let that go. But you're thinking now it might be rekindled. They have a real problem. It makes sense now why she and another gang bro are trying to deal with that, whatever it is. Does it also make a little more sense to you, Brennan, at least? While you were down there getting that coffee, that crew might not deal in phone technology or the other aspect of it's like you can ask them to get any item you wanted to, but the guy in there was in the shadows holding like a tablet asking you, well, hey, what you got? I got around the corner, but don't fuck with me.
Uh-huh.
Every thief instinct you had, there's a better way to do this. Why wouldn't you show me the inventory? Why wouldn't you tell me what you have?
Yeah, what is with all this tricks and games and stuff? Like, all right, what is this? This is in the sewers. Are you gonna tell me you're Nosferatu? Oh, fuck. Yes.
Right, they're off looting victim material. It's the
Uh-huh.
merchandise they get that they're getting away with. It's a very interesting thing you got here. Up to you if you still make that a contact. You did earn it, and he told you you can always come back to get info, by the way.
Uh-huh.
So that's good for you. XP tonight. Make it nice and easy. We know that we got for that scene. I'd say for this one, it's going to be an even. We're going to put that at 2. I'm going to say, and actually, because one for entertainment, one for doing it. The extra one, we didn't accomplish what we said we were going to do, which is going to be some issues down the road, no doubt, with Giuseppe Giovanni. Seeing as you called him to arrange a deal and then reneged on it.
Well, no, I found out what was in there. Apparently, it's fucking werewolves and pigeons.
He didn't ask you what was in there, did he?
No, I'm supposed to get it.
Right. It said make a hole and take what's in there. So that's call it some fuckery. I'll let you say that. Like, did he know it was in there? Did he know it wasn't hollow? Was it hollow? What would happen if he did hit it with a sledgehammer? All these things and more, no doubt you'll be yelled at or have to somehow figure out on top of what you had to figure out. It's there. But XP guys, I'm allowed to, I'll say between the 3 of you, an additional one's possible of who you think did the most, could do I won't even say did the most, played their character, and for whatever reason, entertaining, insightful, what have you.
I think it's Slappy. I did not actually think he would be like the like gung ho Bruja, but he definitely showed that Bruja rage when he was like, "Not today, motherfucker."
I agree. I throw my lot in for Slappy as well because Sullivan wasn't exactly sure how flippant he was being or whether or not he actually cared about anything. But he didn't know that Slappy's a walking hand grenade, and that gives him a better idea. Like, oh shit, this guy's even to the point where as annoyed as Sullivan could get, he has to at least calm down Slappy or it could get worse.
And I agree. I think Slappy should get one. And that'll be that. And that's it for the game. So for one thing, I know to avoid being asked, some folks ask me to explain some oddities that come up. I'm going to talk in depth about what occurred there, but I will say this. The reason why Slappy had to mess with the pigeon or get that going at all, it literally was a trick, a gimmick. The goal was to disarm him to do something that would shock him to net an effect, which it did. And in that moment, get him in a weak point and handle it, but he came through smooth. There was a reason that was done. That was not a random effect of humor. So we're going to leave it at that, though. I do have the secrets the game does give you plot-wise and stuff to investigate, are not based on the player involvement, but it is in the books. You can look it up. Do enjoy that hunt. I have a versified library to pull from, and thankfully all the writers involved in that give me ammo to do what we love to do. So thanks for showing up, and those who watch this, when you watch this, please, I'm glad you enjoy it. Thank you, guys. It was a blast. Tune in next time.
Likewise.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everyone.